Happy Wednesday already, hump day. It's December the 27th, 2023. Only a handful of days left to finish up this year before we jump right into 2024. I can't believe we're already there. I feel like we were just doing this, I don't know, a year ago or so, but it's gotten out of control. I'm back with you. I have been off for a little bit. I was thrilled to have off Christmas, as I know you guys were too, but yesterday I was able to get off too because of the reckless managerial style of a guy named Kelly Michaels, who is now filling in for Billy as either a penance or just to see if I would actually come back and do the radio. Billy off today, Kelly in. Weather, if you hadn't been listening to the top of the hour with Donnie D, we've got 42 today as the high. That sounds cold, but it climbs up, folks. We get to Friday when, again, I'm going to pop smoke and take off for a little bit here to take care of some business out in a place called Florida. It'll climb all the way to 52 degrees on Saturday before we crater. And then about a week from yesterday, we get back down to 38 degrees. We're in the thick of it. Of course, we had the official first day of winter. I don't know, it was last week or something like that. This is my first time back in the saddle since Christmas. I'm certain Kelly wasn't in because yesterday, and my thanks to the great Pete Boyles for filling in. It's always awesome to have the ability to have some. It's like if your quarterback goes down and they're like, we're just going to bring in Peyton Manning. You feel really good about that. Like that makes a lot of sense. So my thanks to Pete Boyles and Billy, who was in yesterday. And then Billy heard I was actually coming back, so he took today off. But we'll be with you for the next 4 hours before being replaced by the big national guys, Charlie, Dennis, Seb, which I think is short for Sebastian, and then a guy named Brandon Tatum, who's picked up that Stephen Tubbs 4 to 7 slot. If you haven't given Brandon a listen, today is probably as good a day as any. I don't know what those national guys do, honestly, the weekend between Christmas and New Year's. But we are live and local right here in Denver. Kelly, first off, and Kelly's working the microphone, and I tell all the producers, be prepared in the 6 o'clock hour to come on and end up saying something that later on you'll regret, but is captured forever in podcasting. Kelly, what was the thought process behind the reckless decision, one, to fill in for Billy, but two, to graciously let me have yesterday off?
Well, there was no one else really that would do it.
After last week, I believe you. I believe you. Geronimo and James have probably said, I think we've done our last fill-ins for the mornings.
Yeah, those guys tapped out.
That's okay. There was I was crafting an email. I can't remember if I sent it or not, but there's just, for folks that know, James and Geronimo are always in the morning after Billy and I do our thing. And they do a whole bunch of stuff around the studio. You'll hear them actually do some advertising readings. I know their voice, you don't, but it's James and Geronimo. They also do a whole bunch of other production stuff for shows that really matter. So you can imagine when Billy says, hey, I want to take some time off, and Kelly's trying to fill in that 5 to 9, it's like, please don't look at me. Please don't. You know what I mean? It's like in class when the teacher was looking to call on someone, you would just stare at your desk or look like you were like choking on something or pretend to have a heart attack so they didn't call on you. That's these guys. But when they come on board, it's just different, right? Like they're filling in, they're sitting in someone else's tractor on land they just don't till, right? So it's like, where's the knob for the... So Kelly, I can't remember if I sent this email, but at one point I say to James, I said, hey man, any thoughts on topics? You know, any, like the normal banter, like you and I did this morning a little bit. Any thoughts on topics? And he goes, I was real busy yesterday. I really wasn't paying attention to anything. I don't really know anything that's going on. And I go, okay.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks, buddy. That was the second time he filled in. The first time it was, I'm pretty sure you're prepared for the show. And I go, you have no idea how this show works. And that's okay because you're not normally up now, but that is not how this show works. But it was just, it was funny. And then some of the countdowns at the end, you know, if I'm doing the show remotely, as you were nice enough to let me do, I can't see the second clock that matters. So when we punch out at the times that we punch out at the end of the hour, if I don't see it, I'll talk right through it, or I'll bail extra early. And I'm sure these guys aren't used to doing it. Even Billy sometimes. And it's just like I'm talking. And in my mind, I'm trying to like Dr. Xavier them. You know what I mean? Like I'm mentally shooting wattage over to them. Like, please tell me I have 10 seconds left. Please tell me I have 5 seconds left. So nonetheless, it was great. But we're very close to getting back to normal here. It's just this week in between Christmas and New Year's. You've made two, again, huge managerial errors, Kelly. You've allowed me to do the show from my home, and you've allowed Billy to not come in at all. Those two things have added up to a Wednesday hump day show that people will look back on and say that was probably a sign. That was when we knew they were being taken off the air. So thank you, Kelly. I appreciate that.
No problem.
I didn't get a chance to ask Billy or you. We had just sort of started to banter about it. Christmas, man. What was the coolest thing that you got?
My mom gave me my dad's class ring that he had given her when they started dating.
Oh, buddy, that's huge. That's really
so
good.
I've got that now.
That's a big deal, and that's one of those ones that didn't cost anybody any money.
No, and it's something that was totally unexpected, and of course, I'll cherish it forever.
That's really cool. And then you also have like 12, maybe 14 children or something that claim you as their father. How did that go? I mean, how do you play Santa, if you will, to that many people?
Well, my wife does all the work, and I show up and just enjoy the chaos. It's great. Isn't that how it works?
Yes, but you had asked me too, hey, what would you get for Christmas, that kind of thing, and I'd said, listen, it changes when you're a parent, especially over time. And at this point, I'm just so thankful to have the kids all back, even in the same state in America, for that matter, considering where Amanda's been. And you just kind of, I think that the biggest thing I feel, and I need to figure out how to get past this, is the anxiety that I got the wrong thing. And that's been lifelong, right? Like it's not just like, hey, I threw some bucks at it, like it or take it back. I don't feel like that. Like I want to nail this thing. But there are some people in your life who are super observant throughout the year and just know things about you. Do you know what I mean? Like there's a different level of, I don't know if it's empathy, but observation skills. And they pick up on things, and then they get you that stuff where you're like, oh my God, that's so perfect. I didn't even ask for that, but it's perfect, right? Yeah, I'm not that guy.
I don't have that skill.
Yeah, I don't have that skill. I'm the guy that says, what do you want for Christmas? You know what I mean? Like, please tell Daddy what you want for Christmas.
Yeah, write it down.
Write it down. And in the era of online purchasing, I was an early adopter of the online shopping thing. So, I mean, many years ago, I was doing 50% of all my Christmas shopping online. And then it got to be about 75, 80%, where it's hovered about now, maybe 90% about now. But it's gotten to the point where tech savvy Jeff, my third of 4 children that I know of, he will just create sort of a wish list on Amazon and shoot me the link.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
that too. We all share an Amazon account, and we all make lists that everybody can access, and that's how we do it.
There's something impersonal about it for me. Like, it's just like, Dad, it's almost like the when you're getting married or you're having the baby shower and all that, like, just these are the things that we want, and I'm happy to make people happy and all that, but it just, I don't know why it's weird. But for you guys, how do you keep each other from knowing what, the special surprise gift is going to be if everybody's accessing the same wish list?
Well, those types of things don't get added to the lists. Those are,
the ring,
done covertly in the middle of the night.
They're taken from the neighbor's yard, is what I hear you saying.
Yeah.
So we did that, and I feel like I don't know. The kids have always loved, the boys have always loved Legos. And so, of course, I try to figure out a way to get the kids a Lego set, even though, they're getting older and all that. They still enjoy them. You know what I mean? Frankly, I think I might enjoy them. But that's why there's like IKEA. IKEA is adult Legos. And I got them all those things. And what I come to find out is at one point we have this picture of Jeff holding up 2 identical Lego sets that are that one his brother got him and that I got him. And it was bittersweet because I felt like, okay, I nailed it, right? Like I found even his brother, who's like his bestie, his brother got that. I must be getting close to home. And then for Graham, because we took that trip to London and Scotland over fall break, I got him this Lego landscape of London.
Oh, wow. That is cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool and not very expensive. And he opens it and he goes, Dad, I did this one like, I don't know, 6-7 years ago. I go, what?
No.
I go, wait a minute, what? And he goes, actually, you know what? Maybe this one's updated. It looks a little different. And he's clearly trying to salvage my disappointed look. And he goes, oh, I don't think we had that. I don't think we had that. Off the top rope comes Jeff to announce, no, that's identical. That is the exact same one. Dad, you got him the exact same. And I'm like, oh, come on. And I'm like, well, maybe it'll be fun and faster the second time. So, of course, last night, right about the time for dinner, I see him bring the box up and I'm excited. And I think this is it, man. We're going to do, maybe we could do it together. I've begged Jeff to let me do Legos with him. In fact, a couple years ago, I bought him the Ghostbusters car. That ain't cheap. And there's a billion pieces. And I said, hey, let's work on this together. And so, of course, he couldn't. He'd rush ahead and start building some. I'd sit down next to him and it would really be Jeff just saying, please give me this piece. Please give me this piece. I'm like, can I work on maybe the chassis or maybe and he's like, no, just give me the piece. And then pretty soon I'd get up to go get us something to drink. He didn't stop. He'd complete something else. And then all of a sudden it was done. And I'm like, oh, so Graham comes up with the London landscape and I'm like, this is going to be great. And he hands it to me and I'm waiting for the magic moment. And he says, maybe you can return this. I go, oh yeah. Well, yeah, maybe I can return it. I can't remember where I got it from, but it's either the Lego people or the Amazon people. I'll figure it out. You know, it was just so depressing.
Don't you need a backup? I mean, a second one?
You know, it's funny you bring that up. In my mind, I'm like, well, maybe I'll just build it. It's my own little Lego memory of our trip. How about that? You know, so who knows? Maybe I'll display that on a video at some point when we're back here at the house. But otherwise, it was great. We got to do Christmas Eve at Dad's on Sunday night, which is always a treat because I think I've lost sight of, you know, when you get to that certain place in life, how important the family thing is versus all else. It's always important, you know, don't get me wrong, but I don't even know what to get he and Annette anymore for Christmas. You know, I used to get them these certificates to go to dinner at some place nice, you know, like a Del Frisco's or an
Sure.
Elway's or something like that. And, you know, it's just getting to the point where just the process of getting ready to go, getting in the car, driving. I mean, because none of these places are close to where they live. They live out there in Lakewood, just west of Kipling, north of Morrison Road. And there's just nothing like that quite there. I mean, maybe what's that place where you can get all the game? And I'm forgetting it now, but you could get ostrich.
Buckhorn Exchange or the Fort?
The Fort.
Yep.
Thank you. Boom. Nailed it. The Fort. Maybe I should have gone with the Fort, but instead at this point, I'm now transitioning into a lot of money invested in DoorDash. And I was like, Dad, listen, if going out to the get good food is just too much of a pain in the butt, and each one of them, you know, has their own ailments, you know, that creep up. And for anyone that has parents in their 80s, you know that every phone call has to have a quick update on whatever that condition is. And I accept that. I know that's going to be my future too. And I'm trying to condition the kids to that right now. Like, hey, when Dad complains about aches and pains, get used to it. It's important. I'm like, well, maybe we can just have the food brought to you. You know what I mean? You can go on the DoorDash app. So Jeff helped him load up all these cards onto the app. And I'm like, maybe this is something I can do. You know, he lives all the way across town in Lakewood. I'm not there. And so I don't know, man, but
That's
getting
a really thoughtful gift.
Is it?
Yeah.
I can't tell. All the other kids, I asked my brother and my sister, I'm like, what do the kids want? And it's always, gift card. And I'm like, what happened to us? So I decided to upgrade from the gift card and I just went with cash. I don't know what else to do, like I've got the kids frantically signing cards and stuff like that. But getting together with the family and seeing them and get to hang out and eat the same foods we eat every year. There's just something reassuring about it.
Yeah. For our family, it was like it was the gift card exchange year. And my wife will wrap them in a box with paper and a bow. And
oh, nice.
So you had that, the feeling of giving gifts, but when you open it up, it's just something that was printed off for a day spa or something inside.
Yeah, well, my hope is people did do the Bobasash thing because that is a wonderful gift.
Right.
I like the idea of the gift card exchange. That would be a great skit or scene somewhere in a sitcom, if there are sitcoms being made anymore. Do you know what I mean? Like where it's just the whole, here's the card, there's a card. You could just fan out cards and like take one.
Right.
But
here's your Starbucks. And
yeah.
Here's your, your Target card or whatever, Amazon. And then you're done.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And everybody hugs it out and you go to the eggnog. The maybe the best part, and I don't want to take away from seeing any of the other nieces and nephews, is my brother's oldest boy, Jacob nephew, was there. Eric, of course, has moved on to Minnesota, which sucks. So we had to FaceTime them. But Jacob and his wife and their 1-year-old son, Everett, were there. So Everett's the baby, and that's Christmas is still lost on him in that he doesn't know the difference, but it's just great having babies in the house. Do you know what I mean? Like, I love playing with the baby. So there we are. I'm trying to convince Dad to let me put him on Grandpa's, the chair that goes up the rail upstairs to get you upstairs.
Yeah.
So, when you have mobility issues. So
sure.
I'm trying to convince Dad, my nephew, Jacob, who I'm not even sure if he's 30 years old yet. I'm like, no, come on. I'll hold him there. We can put the little seatbelt on him and just I want to show him how to do it. And he's looking at me. He's like, and then he's looking over at his wife, and Kenna's looking over at him, and I can see he's in this pickle. He's like, it's Uncle George. And he's like, how about this? How about this? I'll sit on the chair and I'll put Everett on my lap. And I'm like, it's going to go really slowly if you do that. And it's just, and he's like, no, it's fine. I'll, so here I am, the crazy uncle, trying to get the kid. It's almost like they're stopping me from saying, let me show you how matches work. You know what I mean? Like, come here, strike this. These are scissors. Go run and show these to mom. Like that's how they're looking at me now, as I'm like, let's climb onto Grandpa's special chair. And, and he's pressing the button and it beeps, like beep, beep, and he wants to get on it and he's trying to climb up on it. And I'm the guy that wants to put him there and make him laugh. And I can just see Jacob staring at me.
Never invited in Uncle George.
Well, he's just like, it's so awkward. And he's just looking at me like, because it's his firstborn. When they get to 3 or 4, pretty soon you're like, yeah, it's just like, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, don't put 4 on at a time. Do you know what I mean? Your standards drop a ton. I've described this before with the pacifier. When you have your first child, if the pacifier lands on your just vacuumed carpet, you will boil a pot of water to put the pacifier in to make sure that it's germ-free. On kid 4, if it falls into bird crap, you will pick it up, wipe it off on your sock or armpit, and plug it right back into his mouth. I mean, there's just the standards change.
That is so true.
So much, So I get it. It's their firstborn. Kenna's a little freaked out. And, by the way, too, Kenna's a trained therapist. So I'm always worried that she's analyzing me. You know what I mean? That she's trying to figure out what went wrong for you with these people that we're surrounded by that made you like this. Like she laughs, but it's always that nervous laugh, like, get him away from Everett. No.
Taking mental notes while you do whatever you're doing.
I'm sure she has something called the Diagnostic Statistical Manual 5 at her house. That's the Bible for psychologists and psychiatrists. I'm sure she goes home, compares her notes to that, and she's like, nailed it. Here it is, something phobia or whatever it is, philia or whatever. So, no, they're a great couple, and playing with Everett was the best, man. Making babies laugh that is the best thing. That is better than hearing birds sing for me.
That's a great name, Everett. I like
yeah.
that.
Oh, Everett's a great name. Yeah. And they're calling him Ev or Evie. I mean, for me, it's little E. There's a million different things you can do with it. But he's a great kid, and my hope is they have a lot more. And then the other nieces and nephews are still, in my opinion, too young to be procreating. So if we come back next year, and I'll be really disappointed. 2 of them still in high school, one of them just out of high school, starting his job as an HVAC guy. And it's like, whoa, hang on. We've got some text here. Our friend Alexa, you should get a Funkle shirt. Fun plus uncle.
Yeah.
There's a variation of that combination that doesn't have the N in it. I imagine I could get that one too. Here's another one. It is much better to have my spouse give me an Amazon list for Christmas than me guessing and failing. The pressure to get the perfect gift is self-imposed and is never as satisfying as desired. Having my daughter home from college out of state was the perfect gift. Guess I'm getting old. No, it's not that you're getting old. You're just getting smarter and wiser. I agree. Having access to the kids throughout, that's the biggest thing in the world. I remember Christmas, like I am the worst at picking gifts. I remember when Mom, I had enlisted the help of Marsha's then best friend to go shopping with me at Park Meadows and to help me pick out stuff, clothes, because no dude should ever pick out clothes for his wife.
Help me.
Unless it's a replacement thing. If you buy the exact same thing, it's just newer. It's hard to go wrong there, but so I invite her out. We spend half a day. Oh, she'd love this. Every single item purchased was returned within the week. Not a single thing survived scrutiny. And I'm like, that's it. I can't do it anymore. There's got to be a better way. So maybe getting that Amazon list is the best thing to do.
So what was a home run gift?
For who?
For just a family member.
It's just so tough because everything changes. Okay, the one that got the most emotional response was, if you remember, when Hamilton was huge on Broadway and it was kind of sweeping the country. Yeah. My buddy, who was a former judge out in New York, I'd reached out to him, and this guy is a fixer. I don't know how to describe this. He's one of the former top prosecutors out of the Bronx, became a judge, left. This guy knows everybody somewhere. Like, he's the guy in New York that says, I got a guy who can get that thing for the thing. I mean, he's that guy. I mean, he will get it done. And so I reached out to him on just a lark, and I'm like, dude, I want to buy tickets to Hamilton, but I mean, come on, man. And he's like, okay, let me see if I can figure this thing out. And he's able to score me 2 tickets to Hamilton.
Wow.
So Amanda at the time, I think she's got to be 16, maybe. So it's about 5 years or so ago. She's in love with the Hamilton stuff. She and her brothers they listen to the song every day going to school. She's memorized the words, all this other stuff. So we do through the whole Christmas thing. I stick these tickets inside an envelope that I shove into the tree. And nobody looks into the tree for something. You look under the tree for something. So we get done with everything. This is the last thing. I've got the video of this thing, man. And I sent it to Bobby, my friend. And man, it made him cry too. And she gets it. She's like, what is this? She opens it up. And I sound like an idiot now on the radio. And she starts crying. And it was a great trip to New York, man, that we took. And I had to do a little business out there for something, but we went, and it was great. It was a fantastic thing to do. And I think that's probably the most emotional response to a gift that positive emotional response to a gift that I've ever given. How about you, man?
it was a gift that my brother-in-law gave us, and the kids had been talking about a PS, I don't know, it was a PS4 or something, Sony PlayStation type thing, and we were dead broke, just didn't have any money for gifts that year, and we couldn't afford it. And Uncle walks in and plops down the package, and sure enough, my kids just went nuts. They couldn't believe it, and he is he's a total hero. He still is for that gift, and
wow,
it was awesome.
How long ago was that?
I don't know. It was 15, 20 years ago, something like that.
You were 15 at the time.
No. But it was, I don't know, and he couldn't even afford it, but he went out and got it anyway. It was wonderful.
Conversely, Kelly, worst Christmas gift, and I know that's hard to say because someone went out of their way to give you something, but there's got to be a worst.
Okay, this is real inside baseball, but my wife has a handicap for her hand, and she's actually missing a finger or two.
Yeah.
And early on in our marriage,
stop right there.
Yeah.
Stop right there. Because when you say she's missing a finger or two, it leaves open the possibility that it's one or two. And in no way do I want to get into the details, but it sounds like you're unclear. Like she's like 37 or 38. I don't know. I mean, you know what I mean? We've been married for 30 or 29. I can't remember how many years.
She's a child of thalidomide. So she was born without a couple fingers.
I got it. Got it, man.
And one year, I just not thinking, I went out and bought her a brand new pair of leather gloves.
No, you didn't.
I did.
Geez, did you have them retrofitted to look like they were custom?
We took them back.
What was now? Listen,
she looked at me and said, "Can we take these back?" I'm like, "Yeah."
There was. Is that the only reaction? What, there wasn't a moment of staring through you as if, who is this man that stands before me? That kind of thing. Like,
no, I was just thoroughly embarrassed, and I just don't even think about her hand. So it was really weird.
Buddy, I guess that last thing you said, that may be the most important thing. And I hope that's her takeaway too from that moment, was just like, he just, you know what? He doesn't see any.
I don't think she kind of hides it a little bit, and I just don't even think about it. So
were they isotoners?
They were really expensive. I think I bought them at downtown in Chicago, someplace really fancy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, buddy, I get that. Yeah, I can't top that. I can't do better than that. How about worst gift you've received?
Oh God, I don't know. I don't know. What about you?
No, I mentioned this before, but my aunt, who I love, maybe my favorite aunt, out in New York, and I used to spend some time every summer out on Long Island with her. And then as I got older, I don't know if she just lost touch with who I was, or maybe my parents just did such a brutal job of describing to her who I was and what I was into. She sent me a big metal skull and crossbones belt buckle. And I was like, what? Like, I can't wear this anywhere. Like, where am I going with this? To the biker bar? I mean, if I knew Pete back then, maybe I could wear it on a ride, but
show up in court with that thing.
What am I doing with this? Like, I'm trying to picture the setting where I could pull this off, and short of some kind of a dungeon environment, or maybe if I were going pirating somewhere.
So where did it end up? Did you give it to Goodwill or something? Or
it could have been, yeah. It was in a box for the longest time.
Did you melt it down for its value?
It's actually, that could have. It was in a box for the longest time, and I've lost track of it. I'll bet you if I went back to Dad's house and started digging around in the basement, there's a 50-50 chance I uncover this thing. That was something else that was cool, by the way. My son Graham and my niece Danny, who are within a couple years of each other, they go run off and screw around in the basement because Grandpa's basement it's like being Indiana Jones, right? I mean, there are pitfalls down there, but you can uncover some real gems. So he finds some old baseball bats that my dad had from when he used to play softball and stuff. And then they get into this part kind of freaked me out. It made me think at some point maybe Graham's going to work for the FBI or the CIA. He starts going through files. Like he pulls open a drawer just to see what's in it. And there's a folder right there. He doesn't have to dig through it that says Rita on it. That's my mom's name. Opens it up, and there is her law license that's in there from forever ago. Yeah. And so he ran upstairs to tell me, he had me come down, take a look at it. And it was, it was just a nice moment on Christmas Eve to have your son, kind of marveling at the law license of a grandma he never knew,
That's sweet.
So it was, it was pretty cool. And then, of course, they got into a whole bunch of other things, and they start doing that sizing things up that they might want thing, as if somehow my dad's on death's doorstep or not. And he's far from it, but they're like, do you think grandpa uses that weight bench anymore? I'm like, I don't know. You should ask him. And then it gets super like, I can't, I'm going to go ask grandpa, can I have your stuff? I'm like, yes, because that's what you want me to do. You want me to go up and say, hey, Graham would like your stuff. This has happened now 2 trips out there. And it's always like, next time. I'm going to do it next time. I'm like, okay.
Kids. Smart kids.
Yeah. It's just like, why can't we start enjoying these things now? And I'm like, we'll get to it. We'll get to it. And here's the coolest thing about the whole day and the time over at Grandpa's is, Trey is in a wheelchair, and it's a considerable wheelchair. I mean, it's power and all this other stuff because he's got the muscular dystrophy and all that. And my dad's house hates wheelchairs. It is stairs everywhere. To get up into it, even from the garage. The garage is brutal, and there are certain standards where you can't have and it's dangerous for the wheelchair if it has a certain pitch to it, the thing and all this. Dad finds some guy who has this kind of a one-man shop thing to come out and assemble this elaborate long metal ramp that kind of comes around the front door, goes down by the side of the house, and you can enter it from by the driveway.
Those are nice. My uncle's got one.
Yeah. And it's a rental. It's not, the cost of the rental was crazy. It was insane that Dad would spend that much money on that. But
wow,
he was like, well, it just, it wouldn't be Christmas without Trey.
Wow.
And that was, but that's a good man right there. That's a good grandfather. And I don't think it was lost on Trey. I don't know how many other people. I mean, I know Trey appreciates it. I go, dude, how about that ramp? He goes, yeah. He goes, yeah, that's great. He goes, it was a little slick on the one side. And I'm like, what? Because it had snowed and stuff.
Right.
I'm like, you're inside the house. You're inside a house you could have never gotten into without them. And he's like, oh, no, it's great. It's just, on that side right there, it had a little ice buildup. It was a little slick.
He'll appreciate it later.
He will. He's such a sweet kid too, and straight A's, by the way. First semester at CSU, straight A's in the sciences. So that I think he's found his rhythm with the educational stuff. I'm super proud of him. Listen, we're talking ourselves into dangerous Billy George territory. This is usually, Kelly, when we cut away for a break and then you move things around so that at some point we have a super long break. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I get to deal with that later.
Yeah. I've broken the morning segment. Let's do this. Let's cut away for a break. We'll come back. Your calls, your texts. We're getting some in right now. Best, worst gift. We'll take that through 6 o'clock. I'd love to hear it. I love the conversations about things that went super well at Christmas. I almost love more the things that didn't. 303-696-1971. 303-696-1971. It's George Brauchler on the George Show, 710 KNUS. George Brauchler back with you here, 710 KNUS. Some of the text coming in says you're not, this is obviously Alexa, you're not even close to your 644 first break record. After reading that out loud, I'm disappointed that I read it out loud because Kelly is listening to us kind of confess that the first break we took one morning wasn't until 6:44. That's right now. Kelly, in my own defense, I think at the time the building was on fire and being on the radio saved babies. I don't know if that's true, but that's how I want you to remember it.
Thank you.
Ren Joan, I made a sour cream raisin pie from my grandma's recipe box. And my father was so grateful and talked about his time on the farm. He told that about how raisins were used because no fresh fruit was available in winter in Minnesota. Oh, that makes total sense. Is fresh fruit ever available in Minnesota? I mean, maybe apples or something, but what else can they possibly produce up there in that frozen tundra? I think they have snow 11 months out of the year. There's real talk of trying to give them back to Canada if Canada will get rid of Justin Trudeau. We've offered to trade them Minnesota for Trudeau. I don't know if that's going to happen. That reminds me, Joan, I was cleaning out the fridge to try to find more things to put into it, and I pulled out a tray, and I've told this story before at Thanksgiving. My mom had these two dishes she always made at Christmas. One was the cheese ball, and one was this kind of, and some listeners know about this because they texted in about the name, and I can't remember, but it's like a lime green jello kind of key lime jello with some walnuts on it, and there's pineapple in it and all this other stuff. And it turns out I'm the only person that likes it. Well, proof of that is I found it in the fridge, buried under a bunch of other things that we use. And I pulled it out yesterday. I was horrified. I'm like, oh my dear God, it's been a month. And I was going to take the foil off. Like, I can't imagine what I will see there. And is it possible that it will cure cancer? Do you know what I mean? In sort of that bacteria, sort of penicillin way. And I pulled off the foil. It looked identical to how it looked when my sister brought it over a month ago. I mean, unchanged. I couldn't talk any of the kids into putting any of it in their mouths to test it because Dad can't. You know what I mean? Like, I have a frailer system. And so I took a picture of it and sent it off to my sister and my brother and my dad. Like, here it is today. And even my sister was like, OMG, it looks the same. I'm like, I know. I don't know what's in it. But if you can somehow put it into human DNA, we could live forever. You know, I don't know if it's the gelatin or something like that.
Doesn't every family have their own weird jello recipe? I don't know.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, I want to put a stapler in one. I want to go to the office, you know, Jim on that. But so that thing ended up in the trash. And Joan, thank you for triggering that. Yours was a very happy memory. Mine was much more of like a science experiment gone horribly wrong. There's something else as we look towards, I just clicked on one of the websites, Kelly, and here's a video, no sound playing, of the Attorney General, Phil Weiser, talking into the camera, and I just shuddered. Having said that, it's about Wyatt's towing and how they brutalized Wyatt's towing because Senator, what's her name, Julie Gonzalez, had her car rightfully towed. On January the 1st, that's next Monday, folks. That is only about 5 days from now. We're going to be ringing in the new year the night before. First off, Kelly, any plans?
No, it's amateur night. We stay home.
Okay.
Dick Clark.
One of the things that's going to change in our lives, and some of these are significant, some of these are not. There are 10 laws that go into effect that our lefty Colorado legislature passed. They're not all bad, but there's one in particular that you are going to feel. I'm going to feel this thing. And we'll talk about it we'll start to talk about it when we come back. And then, of course, there's a billion other topics to cover here that I want to get to you, but these ones are going to hit close to home. I'd love to know how you're going to respond to them. Stick around. George Brauchler on the George Show at 710 KNUS. George Brauchler back with you here, 710 KNUS. Only moments left in this first hour. I'll prime the pump a little bit here with the fact that there are 10, count them, 10 new laws that are going to take effect here on January the 1st. Most of them tend to take effect on July 1st, but these ones take effect on January 1st. And one of them is an older law, and by older, I mean a couple sessions ago, but it was phased in, and now January the 1st, this thing will be true for everyone. Asterisk, here it is. And I'm reading from a Denver Post article. A 2021 law called the Plastic Pollution Reduction Act goes into effect. Now, this is reading from the legislature's website description. The act prohibits stores and retail food establishments on and after January the 1st, 2024, from providing single-use plastic carryout bags to customers, except that retail food establishments that are restaurants and small stores that operate solely in Colorado and have 3 or fewer locations may provide single-use plastic carryout bags. The prohibition does not apply to inventory purchased before January 1st, 2024, as long as it's used on or before June 1st, 2024, which may be applied to a customer at the point of sale for a 10 cents or greater fee. It goes on for greater details. Folks, I hadn't thought about this. I think this is potentially devastating for someone like me, although I'll be honest, I boycotted the entire plastic bag thing, not because of the plastic bag thing. It's not this whole, hey, I love the planet more than I love humans kind of. It's not that. It is mostly because I refuse to give any money to the store for me using a plastic bag they gave away for free until the government told them they could charge me 10 cents. And get this, out of this deal, the government takes 60% of every dime or whatever, every penny you end up spending on plastic bags. No, thank you, man. I feel like I'm taxed plenty right now. And why do they deserve that money? What are they doing for that money? So I have thus far, like, I'll be the clown that leaves his reusable bags, which I take with me. They're in the back of the car all the dang time, but I never remember to bring them in the store. And I'm just not there. So there I am at the checkout line with a cart full of food doing the beep, put it back in, beep, or stacking it up alongside the scanners, because you have those scanners that still say things like, please place the item on the thing, because it's trying to measure the weight and thinks you're beating the system or something. I'm that guy. And then I load them back up into the cart, take them to the back of the car, and then put them in the reusable bag so that I can carry them from my car into the house. Yeah, I know it's stupid. Okay, but I don't know a better way to do this given my limited wattage. But I want to know what you're going to do with this. And is this plastic bag thing, how do you boycott a place for not having plastic bags? It's not their fault. Do you bring recycled bags? I don't know, man. This is just one of many laws, but I want to talk about this because it pisses me off. It frustrates me. Hey, we're going to stick around for a break. We're going to come back. We're going to get into that 7 o'clock hours. George Brauchler, 710 KNUS. George Brauchler back with you here, 710 KNUS. This is hour 2 of 4 before we get replaced by the big national guys. We'll talk more about them later. But for right now, I want to follow up on a topic I just sort of primed the pump on because it's gotten some good text responses. Our number 303-696-1971. And there's another topic, by the way, I'll tell you later in the show, I do want to discuss, and that is, and this took place since we were on the air, and that is the convictions of the 2 paramedics in the Elijah McClain case. I want to talk about that case, dissect at least what I heard from the news reports and what I read and all that other stuff, next steps and all that. But if you weren't following that back on, I believe, the 23rd, so that would be Friday. I guess Friday is probably when those verdicts came in. That's what happened. Now, what I had primed the pump for with you was this discussion of a bill that was passed way back in 2021, signed into law by Governor Polis, by the way. And remember, Governor Polis touts himself as a libertarian, business-minded, but socially liberal kind of guy. This bill flies in the face of this. This bill screams nanny state at the top of its lungs in a way that you really can't imagine, and that is we passed a law that's called the Management of Plastic Products. It's HB 12. Actually, you know what? That's not the name of it. It's got something else. It's a little more wicked than that. Here we go with the recent bill text. Here we go. It is called the no, damn it. It's called the there it is, Plastic Pollution Reduction Act. When you put words like that in there, and it does actually describe what the bill does, it's hard. How do you say, no, I don't want to reduce plastic pollution. I'd really like to keep it at the status quo or increase it. And so along come 4 members of the legislature, 2 representatives and 2 senators, and hold your breath, folks. Yep, they're all Dems. They're all Dems. And they came out to pass this thing that does the following. On and after January the 1st, 2024, retail food establishments and stores are prohibited from providing single-use plastic carryout bags to customers unless you're a retail food establishment that's a restaurant or a small store that operates solely in Colorado and have 3 or fewer locations. And then you can provide carryout bags, but then only if you charge at least a 10-cent fee. And of course, of that fee, I think the way they did the math here, 60% of it has to go to the man. Here it is. A store is required to remit on a quarterly basis beginning April 1st, 2024, 60% of the carryout bag fee revenues to the municipality or county within which the store is located, and may retain the remaining 40% of the carryout bag fee revenues. One, if you just want to ban the plastic bags because it's bad for the environment, then ban the damn plastic bags. But this clearly is about more than that. Just like every lefty under the gold dome, the thought is, how can we put more money into government coffers for doing nothing? I mean, what do you think the enforcement of this is? They're going to send the plastic bag police around. I imagine someone will come by and stroke a ticket. But let's say that there's $10 million spent on plastic bags. I have no idea, by the way. We should get to know that. There should be an accounting. The government gets $6 million to administer this program. Really? Really? Because it seems to me that it's the county and the city that will be on the hook for enforcing this. They already get our taxpayer money. And then the store gets to keep 40% for what? It's a plastic bag they gave away for free or built into the cost of, I don't remember items being cheaper once they went to pay for your plastic bags. So this is a revenue scheme, and they try to get the stores to get complicit with this at the time that this thing gets passed by saying, hey, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, you guys get some of the money too. I know every time I whisper, by the way, people go, hey, don't do the Biden creepy whisper voice. Your hair smells so good. But there it is. That's what they did. They co-opted the big change and stuff by saying, we've got a way to put more money in your pocket. It's awful. It's truly awful. But here's the other thing. If the plastic bags are just so bad, so bad, that they simply can't be offered for any price after January the 1st, 2024, why do you create an exemption for restaurants or stores that are solely within Colorado and have 3 or less locations? I don't understand. Don't drink this. It's poison. Unless you're a Colorado resident, in which case it's poison, but it's okay. Don't have plastic bags unless. Doesn't make any sense to me. It is hypocrisy. It was pointed out that way back when it was debated and passed. But remember, folks, we've turned over control to the lefties under the gold dome and at the state government level. Republicans really don't have any input anymore. I mean, we have our 300, and by that I mean the 19 members of the House, the current 19 members of the House. Who knows where it goes in 2024? They can't do anything. They're in a super minority. The Senate is 1 Senate seat away from being in a super minority. This is the kind of nanny state stuff you get. So what you count on is that pretend libertarian business-minded governor to veto it and say, no, we're not, this is dumb. We're not doing this. You want to encourage recycling, encourage recycling. But this whole ban the plastic bag thing and do a revenue splitting thing. So I don't know. What do you do this with this? Here's someone that texted in, plastic bags are readily available on Amazon. I currently have 500 and plan to buy more. Well, maybe that's it. Maybe you, instead of getting those health code risky reusable plastic bags, and by the way, I don't know what people are bringing into the store, and the store can't know either. I mean, you could have Ebola in the bottom of your plastic bag. You show up to run it around the store as you're shopping for produce and stuff like that. What's the risk to everyone else? Or do we even care? Will they be immune? If someone drags in their bacteria in their bag and it gets folks sick, what happens when we go to COVID 2.0 and we're all wearing masks or mop suits? If that's where we're going, we're all being forced to get a jab in every eyeball every other week or whatever it is. Are we still going to allow people to drag in their bags with whatever gross stuff is in there to fill it up with food that we're all going to be touching? I don't know. But I like the idea of buying your own single-use plastic bags and bringing those to the store. I have some reusable ones. People gave some away. I remember at one point I bought one for like $1, which seemed like a waste of money at the store. And I keep forgetting to bring these things in from the back of the car. And so they end up just really serving the purpose of being a vehicle to get from the car to inside the house. So really the distance of the garage and the kitchen, which sounds stupid, but that's where we're at. Here's another one. More invasive regulations and paperwork. Yep, that's true. We cannot figure out how to just coexist with each other without the government coming in with the good idea fairy. And that's where these 10 laws come in. Here's one. What if whoever makes the bags labels them as multi-purpose, multi-use, and describes dog doo-doo and various uses? That's another thing. If I can't get my single-use plastic bags, what am I going to use for the dog? I know there's a bunch of other little dog poo designed bags, but you don't always have those. Like there's such cheap rolls of stuff. And let's not even get into that. That's a topic for the 6 a.m. hour, but just the heat. Anyway, you have to use the little bags you get from King's or from Safeway or something like that. I think if it was a grocery store, I would go back to paper. My mother loves the Whole Foods paper bags. I'd go with paper. That's true. We used to store paper bags under the sink when I was a kid. I never knew why, but we had 1 billion paper bags that were stored under there. Here's one. Hey, George, when you start a grocery list, write bags at the top, then put said bags in your passenger seat. That's super smart. Before you head to the store. Okay. Passenger seat sounds good. I got to remember that. But I recently forgot again, and I did the same thing. Took purchases to the trunk and filled my bags there. Kathy, that you are right of my brain right there. That's exactly what I do. That's a smart one, though, to put the bags at the top of the list. That's smart. Here's another. Going green on everything will hurt everyone, period. Listen, I want to believe that this is born of the idea that we're trying to save the environment, and these single-use plastic bags are far and away the worst things that could impact what we do, or that we could make the single biggest change. I will remain open to that motivation. Unfortunately, by creating a stupid exception, an illogical exception that says these things are so bad you can't even buy them from King Soopers anymore, or Target. What are you going to do with Target? What are we going to do with Target, man? Those plastic bags are the Cadillac of plastic bags. I don't keep the Kroger ones, the King Soopers, the Safeway ones, because they're trash. Like, you see that 17-year-old kid loading up 10 cans of Campbell's Chunky Soup into one of those bags, and you know that as soon as you pick it up out of the cart, it's going to bust open at the bottom. Those are trash. Those are for dog poo. But the Target ones you could build a house out of or something. I mean, they're wonderful plastic bags. What are we going to do when they make those things go the way of the dodo? But here's the thing. When they carve out exceptions for plastic bags are horrible for the environment unless you have less than 3 locations and only in Colorado, then they're not bad at all. As long as you charge people 10 cents, then it's okay. I don't understand the logic here, but honestly, none of the laws we pass anymore have to have any logic because it's the wingnuts that are in charge. Here's another one, another text. And call in, man. Let's have the conversation. 303-696-1971. And talk through this. Am I missing something? Is the environment the issue that is so dominant for us that we need to take all these steps, with the exception of the 3 or less locations in Colorado? Another text. You're right. The plastic bag law is complete garbage, proverbially. I'm going to say it, folks. We're going to be here all day till Daddy gets it right. Proverbially. Boom. Bing. Speaking, the other law that I'm really not looking forward to, and maybe you can talk to it, is making red light speeding tickets mandatory to be paid. To me, it seems like you're automatically guilty. Oh, I don't know about that one. Hold on, listener. You text that in. I want to look that one up. I don't know about that. I didn't even see that in my little article. I'll take another look. Here's another one regarding plastic. Thank you, plastic bags. Oh, here it is. Something that they purchased. Thank you, plastic bags. 350 count white grocery bags, plastic shopping bags with handles. Oh, this is another Amazon purchase right here. Okay, listen, there are places where you can go to get your single-use plastic bags, but remember, the convenience is being able to walk in with nothing but an absolute desire based on someone else giving you the directions to go find that jar of specific kind of marinara sauce and an avocado, and then to hustle home. You don't show up with anything in your hands, right? Like, you show up with, you're out of breath, you're frantic, you've got to be home in 30 minutes or dinner's ruined. You want to be able to just get the plastic bags right there. I wonder if you could join a collective, buy plastic bags for the store. Therefore, they're not, and you know what I mean? It's like it's a subscription service, and you pay. I still don't like the idea of paying for them, but you pay some nominal amount, and then they're not providing them to you. It's like Redbox. I wonder if they could have Red Bag. Do you know what I mean? Where you go to the little machine, you swipe your card of some kind, and then out come a couple bags. Then the store is not selling them or giving them away. It's some other entity. And maybe they can keep changing their LLC status so that there's only 3 of them, and they just make I don't know. I'm trying to outthink the law here. Here's another text. I do the same thing with the cart and the bags left in the car. Great minds think alike. True, man. I do that all the time. Here's another one. Getting rid of styrofoam too. What? Listen, Kelly knows what I'm talking about. Billy Wood Lewis, Mark, anyone who's listening out there at 710 knows that we live off of styrofoam.
I'm drinking out of it right now, buddy.
That's right. We have towers of styrofoam cups. By the way, there was a time, Kelly, when something happened and we ran out of them, which there are no real, like, you don't trust any of the mugs that are there for a lot of reasons.
No.
Yeah. So we showed up once, and Billy knew where a secret stash of styrofoam cups was, and it was like we found gold or something. You know what I mean? Like we squirreled some away and hid them in a break glass in case of war kind of a place because it was so valuable. We go through styrofoam cups at 710 like we're trying to heat up the planet, like we're just unhappy with the current temperature and we're trying to melt the polar ice caps. But I didn't know that law was in place. What are we going to do? What do we do if you're in charge? What do we do if we lose the styrofoam cups, Kelly?
We shut down for the week.
That's it, folks. That's the threat/promise. They do away with styrofoam cups. We should be hoarding them right now, hoarding styrofoam cups. Can you imagine the markup you could provide, the arbitrage, buy low, sell high, you know what I'm talking about, that you could have for places where you got a guy in the back of a truck somewhere, he motions you over to the trunk or something, and he's like, hey, buddy, I got pristine, unused stack of 50 styrofoam cups, 16 ounces with lids. Will you give me $1,000 for them? I mean, these things become the new drugs that are out there. And then, of course, we'll need a safe styrofoam drinking site somewhere in Denver. Another text. This is a horrible one, but I get what you're trying to get me to is this topic of it says pregnant Colorado mom hit with stray bullet at home. My God, man, what's going on? Here's another text. Bag fees are an illegal fee. Per lefty Colorado Supreme Court, legal fees are based on the actual cost of a program. Think 911 fees. What program is administered that costs? Okay, if that's true, Texter, and you sound smart on this, all right, why is there no legal challenge to this? And does anybody believe for a moment that after decades of Democrat-appointed judges, we're going to get to a good result on the issue of fees? Remember, the Supreme Court has figured out a way to gut Tabor all by itself. It rules on things that create a different standard for the legislature putting things on the ballot that gut Tabor than if we do. They've created these carve-outs through, fee is a 3-letter word, but it doesn't have TAX in it, so it's not governed by Tabor either. And all the little things that we squirrel away. What's that other mechanism we use? It's not franchise. We provider fee, but you know what I'm talking about. Somebody smart like Alexa will come back to this. Here's another one. I sent this last week. Doesn't this avoid due process? So many issues mailed to the wrong. Okay. What's that, son? Kelly says we've got calls. Let's do this. Let's cut away for a break and take the calls fresh. This topic is hot. I know it because we keep getting texts in on the nanny state stuff. And in fact, even on my own personal phone, we're getting people texting in. I think a lot of people are upset about the styrofoam revelation. If that's true, I don't know what we're going to do about it. Hey, before we cut away, can I tell you about something you can do as you're leading into this weekend, which is the start of a new year? Why does the start of a new year or a new month or a new week, why does that pose such a great opportunity for a life-changing or habit-forming thing? I don't know, but it does. So capitalize on it. It's baked into the situation, okay? One of the things you can do is go avail yourselves of UltraCur. UltraCur is that curcumin-based, patented, all-natural supplement that does 8 million different positive things for your health. Not only does it make you feel better in general, but it is an antioxidant, anti-inflammatory. This thing, that the studies that these folks at Ultra Botanica who make this have done are ridiculous. And when I say ridiculous, I mean 48 hours after taking this, 50% of the people that take it say, I'm experiencing positive health changes. For that group, half of them experience it within 2 hours. And for you to try it out in the new year, it's free. Yeah, free. All you got to do is drive to your local natural grocers. They're everywhere. Can't walk in and find it on your own, and that's okay. It's not a Where's Waldo thing. They secure it with the vitamin manager because otherwise a couple of crafty folks are going to go raid this thing and take them all. So you go to the vitamin manager and say, I'd love my 3-day supply. They'll also give you, by the way, and they don't put this out in the literature, they'll give you a second 3-day supply so you can give it to a loved one to try out as well. Go there, get that, try it out, and when you're sold, and I know you will be, then come back and get the real kit and caboodle and start enjoying a 2024 that just has all the positive health benefits. Now, if you want to check it out before you show up, that's totally fair. I'd do the same thing. Go to getultranow.com. That's getultranow.com. I'm going to cut away for a break. When we come back, we're going to be joined by Anthony and other callers at 303-696-1971. It's George Brauchler, 710 KNUS. George Brauchler back with you here, 710 KNUS. It is not lost on me that the 710 voice, the guy who's like, Sebastian Gorka, Dennis Prager, he's going through a list of the great conservative minds on 710, and they go through a list. I'm not there. No, it's just me, the local guy right here. Happy to be with you, by the way. Had a friend text in, and a buddy says, is it bad that I got Nuggets tickets as a Christmas gift and was so happy until I saw the play the Detroit Pistons, who have lost 27 games in a row. It's an NBA record. And folks, couple thoughts on that real quick before we get back to the plastic bags. Maybe three thoughts. One, no one's talking about banning the Detroit Pistons, but and I don't even know if they're reusable. But two, the Detroit Pistons now are so bad and have lost so many games. There's extra pressure on the other teams not to lose to them. Like the other teams will try harder because they're like, oh my God, I can't lose to arguably one of the worst teams in NBA history. So it's just going to spiral out of control. Somebody has to lose to them. Let's just hope it's not our Nuggets, who are playing on fire. Great Christmas game against the Warriors. The other thought is, I think the Detroit Pistons, in order to keep the universe balanced, there needed to be something to offset the resurgent Detroit Lions, right? Like the Lions have, since Barry Sanders have been a joke in the NFL. Now they're crushing teams, including they beat up on the Broncos, right? There needed to be balance in the universe. So I think whoever it is that's the demigod in charge of Detroit probably made a deal with the big man and said, give me the Lions this year. You can have the Pistons. And I think Satan was like, I'm in. I'll do it. I will grant you one wish. And they said, we would like Detroit to have a great franchise. And it turns out it's going to be football this year. Just a thought. Hey, listen, on this plastic bags thing, lots of texts coming in. We've got callers on the line. Joan, you're on line 1 in 710 KNUS. Joan, what do you think?
So we have in our household solved the dog poo bag situation.
I didn't know there was one.
Well, so my mother and father still take the Denver Post. And the Denver Post.
What? Okay, keep going, please. No, please.
And the Denver Post comes in this like skinny little bag that they put them in now because I think they pre-stuff them. I don't know. So every day you get a little bag with your Denver Post, and my mother saves them all for us. And then we use these little sleeves of plastic to pick up dog poo, and it gives me such joy to pick up dog poo with a Denver Post liner bag.
There's just a bit of irony there, it seems like.
Yeah, and we've also solved, the styrofoam thing. There are restaurants out there that have left styrofoam behind, and now they have very nice plastic, which is kind of interesting because we just recycled to another area. Plastic ware. Olive Garden is particularly good, and you can reuse it and stuff. And it was really nice at Christmas. I could send everybody home with extra. Yeah, and they have nice lids that snap on. It's almost like the Tupperware of the 2020s. Very nice, reusable, and so I don't think that there's an awful lot. I think my Chinese restaurant still uses styrofoam, and maybe that's why you and Billy are still in the styrofoam world.
Well, listen, styrofoam is the bomb. I mean, it's.
Well,
I don't know how to describe it.
I don't like it because
it's also a precursor to napalm, but that's something else.
Well, that's the whole point. You can't microwave that stuff. That's just you.
Well, Joan, to be accurate, you're not supposed to microwave that stuff. Of course, you can do it. That's like saying you're not supposed to microwave a fork. Every kid has thrown something into the microwave, one by mistake and then two on purpose, because they want to see the Tesla light show. It's like you expect to see the Terminator grow out of that thing based on the electricity. Joan, thank you for the phone call. If I don't talk to you before, Happy New Year to you and your husband.
Well, thank you for reading my raisin pie story because it really did make my Christmas. So thank you
Awesome.
very much.
Yeah.
Happy
New Year, Joan. We'll talk to you in 2024.
And to Kelly, I like Kelly because he says hi, hun, and acts like he's really happy to hear my voice.
Listen, Joan, I don't want to burst your bubble. He says the same thing to me. It's awkward every single time. I'm kidding. No, he doesn't say that to me. Joan, thanks for the call. Joan's line is open at 303-696-1971. Anthony in Arvada, you're on 710. What do you think, sir?
Yes, sir. My question is, if they're so concerned about plastic, what about the plastic that's surrounding all our meat and so forth and so on? It is just absolutely insane. I live in Denver, and it's really irritating. I also do environmental work, and there's a little bit of hypocrisy with all this plastic. And
Yeah, talk about that. What do you know? What do you know?
Well, Patrick Moore talked about this. He is the founder of Greenpeace, and he was just talking about it. There is definitely a somewhat of agenda, and I know some people don't believe in conspiracies or so forth, and I wouldn't even call it that. But nevertheless, I'm sitting up here drinking a Starbucks coffee cup, and what about plastic lids and so forth and so on? And I really think it's just about control, and also. They got to destroy. I don't know what you think about this. Middle class America has been a target for the last 30 years. And I believe this is one of them avenues to do that. And that's my thought. And what do you think?
Anthony, I love the call. And I love pointing out the hypocrisy with the plastic lid for the Starbucks thing. That's legit. Mm-hmm. And the stirrers, you get those plastic stirrers too. How about just plastic utensils? How many billions of unused plastic utensils go out there? You go to Red Robin, you go to whatever, and they jam them in your bag. You don't even you bring it home. You don't even use them, and you're just pitching them in the trash. What about those?
Oh, absolutely. And what about the wind turbines that they're talking about building? All over the country
can't be recycled.
Thank you very much. You can't even do that. And lastly, just to throw something out there, did you hear? Maybe about 2 years ago when they built all the wind turbines in Wyoming, that they built them in the stream of the bald eagles, and they lost well over 250 bald eagles. Not a peep of that came out. And I know that because I deal with environmental work, and it's just absolutely makes you want to pull your hair out.
So if you or I, Anthony, were to shoot down a bald eagle, you and I get prosecuted federally and we go to prison. If you're an energy, quote unquote, energy producer, you can take them down 250 at a time and people just go, well, I don't, it's just craziness, the hypocrisy. Anthony, great call, man. Thank you for this. Anthony's line is open, 303-696-1971. As I'm thinking about all the other plastic things, do you know what they did move away from, they being the McDonald's and other stuff? Do you remember when McDonald's came in those styrofoam hamburger things, for your Big Mac?
Yeah. Hot side hot, cold side cold.
That's right. But they're all gone now, right? Like now we have just the paper, those cardboard ones that kind of can get soggy a little bit, but they have the cardboard ones. You get the I'm trying to think of, if you're a Chinese restaurant, I guess you get exempted because unless you have three or more than three Chinese restaurants, because Chinese restaurants live off. How about the DoorDash people? What the hell are they going to do? What are the DoorDash people going to do? Are they going to come and grab up from these restaurants individual items and then bring them over to you and unload individual items onto your doorstep? Or are they going to give you a bag? Are you going to have to buy a bag? I mean, what do you do? I don't know. I mean, is this like the old Royal Crest Dairy where they give you the big plastic bottle of milk, you use it, and then you stick it back? Is DoorDash or Grubhub now going to have a little box where you can put your recyclable bag so that if you it's so gross, so gross. But again, this was never about the environment. This is like Greta Thunberg, if that's her name, environmental stuff where it's all performance art. I don't think this makes a big difference at all. It's just, and I think Anthony's right here, it's just an attempt to further control us and to try to remind us that the government gets to dictate to us how things go in the world. Here's another text. Good morning, gentlemen. I work for a nameless federal agency that houses convicted felons. I think you're talking about the EPA. We order styrofoam clamshells in the 10 to 20, tens of thousands at the time. At one time, we had 20 pallets of foam cups. We're required to serve meals on foam due to COVID. Your tax dollars at work. And this is a reference to our friend who texted in about the styrofoam cups thing. That's legit. And guess, stupid lawyer guy who's supposed to, read for content and completeness. It's the same damn law. This management of plastic products thing, after you get past the offensive plastic bag thing, get this. The act prohibits a retail food establishment on and after January 1st, 2024. As I use that voice to read it, I'm thinking Charlie Kirk, Sebastian Gorka, but not George Brauchler. The conservative minds of 710. Here it is. From distributing an expanded polystyrene product for use as a container for ready-to-eat food in this state. That's it. Boop. It's over. Retail food establishments that purchase expanded polystyrene products before January 1st may continue to use the products until their supply is depleted. Now, remember, the difference there is, unlike the plastic bag one, you have to use your plastic bags up by June 1st, 2024. But if you're a restaurant or restaurant chain, you can hoard these things like that nameless federal agency that houses federal convicts. You can buy, you know what, Kelly, I'm just now realizing that back in the day, we should have invested in styrofoam and styrofoam cups here in Colorado, because these things are gold. I'm telling you, there's going to be a black market for this stuff, for styrofoam, because there's no wear out date for the styrofoam, and the stuff will live on forever. When Wally
stuff tastes just naturally delicious in styrofoam.
It does taste naturally delicious. It's why people use freaking styrofoam. It's like if God didn't want us to have styrofoam, he wouldn't have let us invent it, right? Like it serves a purpose, especially for the inmates. We're not gonna be able to keep these things. Kelly, I know I have very little control, and by that I mean zero control over the 710 budget. But if we haven't started purchasing lots of styrofoam cups, one, I think our friend at the federal agency that houses prisoners might be able to supply us with some on a black market kind of basis. But we should get into that, because at some point, man, we're going to walk in and all we're going to have to drink coffee out of is our hands, or some cup that Stefan left behind where you're not sure where it came from or whether he ever used it, but you're certain.
Or paper straws all going into a coffee pot or something.
The paper straw thing, don't get me started. There is no good paper straw. If you found a paper straw that works, would you let us know? Because all the ones I get start to get soft and mushy, and you can't get a good draw on them. And again, this is all in the name of saving, I don't know, the spotted owl or something like that. Another text, I'll admit I'm annoyed by the whole plastic bag thing. I get the styrofoam thing, but the bags, give me a break already. It's becoming ridiculous to shop. First, there's no merchandise. Then there's no one who works there, so you have to check yourself out. Texter, I haven't even gotten to the rest of your text. You are now hitting upon 8 billion different things going wrong with retail right now, and it's why people are going more and more to online. Online, you're conditioned to not expect help, even when you're either connected to the AI or Sukumar or whoever it is that you have to call to get you don't expect it. When you walk into a Target and you're that poor kid that's wearing the red polo and you see 4 people run at you like it's piranha going for a fingertip in the water because they're desperate to find anybody who can point them in the direction of duct tape or something like that. You've hit the nail on the head. Then there's no one who, now there's no bags to get out of the store with. You know where this is headed, right? Soon we'll be expected to unload the bloody trucks. With inflation, I've about had it. I think I'll just start using the delivery options that are out there. I hate that these stores think we work for them. I don't think so. Texter, you may have hit up. I'm not a conspiracy guy, Texter, but here's where we're going. We are trying to do away with brick and mortar retail establishments. And the other component of this is unchecked, unpunished retail theft. Shoplifting is through the roof. These organized retail theft circles have gone crazy. This is it. We're going to make it harder for customers to want to come in and buy stuff because you have no customer service people and you have no way to carry your stuff out to your car. 2, they're going to kill us with increased prices to cover down for all of their losses for theft. And then 3, you're going to have to run the risk that at some point a bus full of fill in the blank pour out and just rob the place blind and take off and leave. And that's it. This is an assault by government. They're not trying to protect retail business. They're trying to end retail business. That's very, very insightful. Hello. Can you please recap what you're discussing? I just tuned in. Well, listen, there's a law that goes into effect.
Let's reset.
There's a law that goes into effect. Is it? Yeah. Reset. Kelly, you should reset. You've been there.
No. I'll please go ahead. I'm not even sure. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, right around the corner. Law that passes is going to outlaw styrofoam cups and styrofoam products being provided by restaurants to anybody because, of course, the government knows best, any retail food establishment. And then on top of that, the plastic bags. They are so toxic to the environment, they can only be distributed for a fee, but only by businesses in Colorado that have 3 or less stores. That's it. Otherwise, they're poison. They must be ended. And so things are going to get crazy. I wonder what it's going to look like now at the King Soopers and the Target. Are they only going to you are forced to buy those stupid dollar bags, the recyclable ones?
Yeah.
That's it, this is crazy.
I heard that Walmart's getting
That's all you're going to have.
Yeah. You won't
Walmart too? Oh my God, the Walmart bags.
That's the rumor. That's what's going on, on the street. They're saying that Walmart won't be able to sell the plastic bags, and if you don't have a bag, you're out of luck.
Unbelievable. Why can't they just give those bags away? You know what I mean? Give the just for an entire month, say, here's how Walmart is pushing back against the nanny state that is Colorado government. Every single shopper is going to get, you can have as many damn reusable bags as you want. We're giving them away. And then you just bring them back, which
I've got 100 of those at home. Like me. I've got 100 of them. I always forget them.
Damn it. Me too. Always forget them. There's a service there that can be provided. You know what? You need people, hawkers or whatever they are, not the street performers. Those are buskers. Hawkers outside the store, like selling these bags. You know what I mean? Like when you're on your way to Mile High and they're selling you water, $1 water or peanuts, you know what? You need people selling those bags. Pristine bag, man, 20 cents.
That's $1 million idea, George. That's $1 million
That's
idea.
It.
There you
Pristine
go.
bags. You stand right on of course, King Soopers will go crazy, but what they don't know is they have an agreement to take some of that money that none of it goes to the man. Not a single penny should ever go to the government. They're not doing anything to earn it. Here's another text. P.S. Went to Hawaii this past spring. They charged 20 cents a bag, but at our May farm or family reunion, our Kay's cousins weren't getting charged a thing. What? Interesting. George, 16-ounce foam cups filled with coffee, listening to your show with my dog on my lap is the super triad in the morning. Someone would have to talk me off the ledge if I lost one of the others. And Gino, I think the real question here is not your first jettison. If you had to get down to one thing, would obviously be the radio show. But of the other two, which do you give up more easily, the dog or the styrofoam cup of coffee? Ask yourself in your heart what the answer is. I think we both know what it is, because that styrofoam cup is going to live more than 7 to 9 years. That's it right there. Hey, listen, Kelly has just gotten into my ear to inform me once again I butchered the entire process of doing the show by screwing up the time. So before I cut away, can I do you a quick favor and just very, very quickly tell you about something called the Tanner Gun Show? Oh, yeah, it's legit. We are huge Second Amendment fans here. I am personally concealed carry guy, couple handguns that either come with me or they don't when I'm in public. I'll leave that up to you to find out. But here's the deal. The largest gun and knife show in Colorado is this weekend at the Crown Plaza, Denver, I-70 and Chambers. I've been a DA. I've been a law enforcement guy for a long time. I get how the man can't be there every time you need help. And so sometimes you got to take care of yourself. Prices are 30% less than the big box stores. They'll have the largest collection of new and used firearms, knives, ammo, AR accessories, hunting supplies, fill in the blank, right? Tanner Gun Show this Friday. That's only a couple days from now, 3 to 7. Saturday 9 to 5, Sunday 9 to 4. Tickets are available at tannergunshow.com. And remember, you buy a ticket for one day, you get it for all of them. And the parking, of course, is always free at the Crowne Plaza. When we come back, your calls, your texts. It's George Brauchler, 710 KNUS. George Brauchler back with you, 710 KNUS. Want to get through the callers. I promised to keep this thing going in the 8 o'clock hour as the lines are blowing up. Dave in Fort Collins, you're on 710. You got my time, my man.
Thank you, sir. You know, the one that bugs the hell out of me is you walk down the chip aisle. When's the last time you opened a bag of chips that wasn't half empty.
Oh my God,
And
you're right.
And then all the hanging window bags with nuts or trail mix, the little window, the products just above the window, and the rest of that plastic is empty. There's more plastic on those shelves than we'll ever use in the way of grocery bags.
The chips thing is so real, man. It's not just that too, but there's something about the way they seal them that once the contents touch air, it's like a mummy. It's like you break the seal on a coffin or a sarcophagus and everything turns to dust. Those chips become the most fragile things on the planet Earth.
Well, they could certainly use about half the amount, but then the merchandising would change, and of course they wouldn't look like a really big bag in a value. They'd look like I'm paying $5 for that much stuff.
Yeah. This is a great call, Dave. Thank you for that. Dave's line is open, 303-696-1971. Happy New Year, man. That's a great reference, because the other thing with these plastic bags is that you go to pull these things open, either they're adult proof, right? And you've got to find something like a lightsaber to cut through these things, or you go to pull on them, no matter how big your arms, and they blow up everywhere. Hey, stick around. We're going to keep it going. 303-696-1971. George Brauchler, 710 KNUS. We've made it to the halfway point for the halfway show during the week here at 710 KNUS. My name is George. This is the George Show. Only a couple more days until we head into that New Year weekend. I'll be with you, of course, today and tomorrow, reunited with the BTs, Billy Thorpe, unless he again asks for the day off. And then Friday, I'll be with you half the show. And then a kid named Jimmy Sengenberger, all E's in the last name, harmonica player, blues lover. He'll be on from 8 to 10 so that Big Daddy can fly off to a warmer location for New Year's in Florida and take care of a little bit of business out there. And then I'll be back with you after the new year next week to get it going right. Now, we've talked about in the context of the coming new year, the fact that there is a new law that goes into effect on Monday that is going to end restaurants' use of styrofoam, fill in the blank, for eternity. You can't buy it, you can't rent it, you can't lease it, you can't use it. They just can't give it away, but they can store up as much of it as they want and continue to use that. And so there's got to be, I mean, I'm thinking of entrepreneurial things here for 2024. There's got to be a black market out there for this. Like maybe you could buy into, if you're a restaurant, you can buy into a styrofoam thing where you just have a warehouse. Remember how weed used to be the big thing for commercial real estate, except now it's styrofoam cups and buckets and stuff like that, and little containers. I don't know what the hell a styrofoam bucket is, but that's the only word that popped into my mind. But you have a warehouse full of this stuff, and you are a part owner of this. So you do own the stock. And I mean, I'm telling you there, and then you're going to see guys driving around, honest to God, and they're going to pop open the back of a van. It's going to have like, it'll be like the Willy Wonka of styrofoam in the back of that van. And they're going to be like, hey, buddy, you want a container? The kind that has the, trifurcated thing for 3 different kinds of foods, the big one on the left and the 2 little ones on the right. $5 a piece if you want to make this happen. And that's just going to be the reality. Also, though, I want to give you a couple different things before we get back to our callers. And I know there's a phone line open, but the texts have been exploding. 303-696-1971. The worry was that after the Colorado Supreme Court ruled that Donald Trump couldn't be on the ballot for all the things we've discussed over multiple shows, that was going to be like an infection, not an inflection point, an infection. And all of a sudden it'd be run like a virus and everybody, well, Michigan has bucked the system. The Michigan Supreme Court this is just reported just now, has rejected an attempt to remove former President Donald Trump from that 2024 primary ballot based on the U.S. Constitution's insurrectionist ban. That's that Section 3 of the 14th Amendment. We'll get more into the details on that later. I just wanted to let you know that Michigan has said, no, Trump gets to stay on the ballot. Let's get to the phone lines on this topic right after I tell you about Gay Ribble and the Empower Home team. I've told you the one thing that they can't pass a law to do, and that is to outlaw the awesomeness of Gay Ribble. Gay Ribble is the environment-friendly version of styrofoam and plastic bags. Like, you can't imagine life without her, especially if you're in the business of selling and buying homes, or you're trying to get into that dream home and out of the home that doesn't fit your life anymore. Gay Ribble and the Empower Home team with Keller Williams, these folks do it at a volume that you can't imagine, but at the same time provide that kind of customer service where you think, am I your only client? And the answer is no, but that's how you feel. And they bring the expertise to bear. It benefits you. You get maximum dollars for the house you're getting out of, and you get into the dream home for the best price possible, getting in the front door. Don't take my word for it. You can take the statistics and the studies. Check them out at Sell with Certainty Colorado, sellwithcertaintycolorado.com. They give away a ton of free information because at the end of the day, they want a happy, educated client. They're not looking to just poach you and move on. They want you to refer friends. They want you to use them again when you buy a home. Give them a call at 833-301-SOLD, 833-301-SOLD. David in Thornton, you're on 710 KNUS. David, what do you think about all this?
I think this plastic thing is just out of control. What are you going to buy, an aspirin in a glass bottle or in a paper bag? I don't understand it. To me, it's beyond imagination. But I think one of the things that I wanted to tell you about, I think those illegal immigrants, I think that, a lot of them are wearing Biden shirts, T-shirts. Maybe they shouldn't be called migrants. They should be called Bidenomics. Call them Bidenomics.
David, do you think those T-shirts are reusable? Because I hope they're not made out of styrofoam. David, when you go to the store, and are you a Walgreens guy, a Target guy, something else guy, Sam's, something?
Well, I don't choose anyone in particular. You know, most of the time I go to King Supers because it's closer. You know,
Of course.
but
and King Supers is great. But do you bring your own recyclable, reusable bags?
No, I do not. I do not.
Do you pay for the bags then when you check out, or do you do what I do, and that is just take a cart full of single items to the car and then put them in the bags you forgot to bring in?
No, what I do is I like those bags because I like to put my trash in them and then haul them out, and you know. But plastic, you know, if they want to do something with plastic, they can put them on blacktop and put them on your highway, put them in cement. You know, there's a lot of things they can do with plastic that you don't have to just burn it. You know, they did that with glass. They used to put glass in that blacktop, you know. Yeah. So, you know, there's a lot of things they can do with that plastic. But I remember we used to have incinerators, George.
Yep.
So we burned our own trash, and then they came out and said, well, you know, that's bad for you, putting that smoke up in the air.
Yeah.
So you put them in a trash can, let them out. The city would pick them up and haul it away for you, and they charge you for it. And they take it to a dump and burn it. And I said, wait a minute. I can't burn it, but the city charges me to haul it away now. That's another tax to haul that trash away. And they take it to a dump and put it on fire. And I said, what's the difference when I put it on fire?
Your fires are bad for the environment. Their fires are good for the environment. No, are neutral for the environment. I can't keep track of it all. David, Happy New Year, man. Thanks for the great phone call. David's line is open at 303-696-1971. Kelly, if you said something, I didn't hear it. Mike, you're on 710 KNUS. What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, this is only the second time I've called you. Do you really know how to punch my buttons? Do you
Listen,
know
it's a gift like anything else. Where are your buttons located?
Well, this is one of them. I don't know. I don't know where it's hurting, but anyways, it's hurting. Do you know a good criminal lawyer?
Nope. None of them are good.
Oh,
no, I'm kidding. I know a bunch of them. Why? Are you thinking about committing a styrofoam cup related crime?
Actually, a plastic bag crime. I wonder if it's a crime to grab a handful of plastic bags at my favorite giant grocery store.
To grab them? No, you can pay for them. Like up until Monday, you can still pay for them 10 cents a thing. You know, they ask you when you check out, how many bags are you taking? I just wonder, would a DA prosecute you for that? Like, I am a big, I hate thieves kind of a guy. Like, I just can't stand thieves. But if I had a case, I can't even believe the sheriff's office would say, I'm going to stroke you a ticket, dude. You took a bag without paying for it. I don't get it.
Yeah. Like Peter's producer there, what's his name? Or somebody said, you know, it's Michael Brown. He was Dragon Redbeard.
He's Peter's
producer.
Different. That's all right.
different channel, different time. He said, I may or may not remember to pay for that bag when I go to King Supers. And yeah, you know, I don't know. Yeah, I think this is a righteous case. When Dan finally gets back at the end of the next month, I think I'll call. Well, it'll be too late by then. I'll be in jail. What are you in jail
If you
for?
end up in jail on this, man, please call the show. Don't waste your call on an attorney that you're going to hire. Waste it on an attorney you can talk to in the morning. So ask them, hey, can I please use my call? Billy will put you to the front of the line. I'm telling you, Mike, if you end up in jail over a plastic bag or styrofoam cup related issue, by the way, that isn't, I murdered my neighbor with a styrofoam cup or a plastic, that one you don't need to call, although it'd be an interesting conversation. But if you get thrown in jail on one of these things, would you even if you just got a summons, a ticket, because these things are punishable by, I think it's the restaurant, by up to like $1,000. Can you imagine? I don't think the customer, other than stealing it, I don't think you, the customer, are on the hook. I think the store gets punched with a big fine.
Yeah, Mike, we can give you VIP access if you pull something up like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And we're not in no way advocating you commit a crime, Mike. Again, I am an anti-theft guy. It is one of those crimes that you don't need to see it written down to know it's wrong, right? Like it is in there. There's a.
Yeah. Seriously though, George, is it a crime to take those bags without paying them?
It is 100%. It's a crime because it's something of value, and you know it's value because they say it, and you've taken it without paying for it. So you have deprived them of something of value against their wishes. If they consented to it, it'd be different, right? But then if they consented to it, it'd be giving it away, and they'd be in violation of the law themselves. So one of you is going to run afoul of the law.
Well, I'll just plead ignorance before the law.
You know, and you've heard this. I know you've heard this. Ignorance of the law is no defense.
I know.
In fact,
know, but I don't believe
frankly, it's kind of a prerequisite to become a judge. So I don't know how it could. I'm kidding. If you're a judge out there listening, you know I think you're the smartest, best-looking people in the law. Mike, thanks so much for the call. Mike's line is open at 303-696-1971. There are 8 trillion texts. I'm trying to get through some of them here. I think libs are as useless as an anus on an elbow, but ours have to stop harping on this plastic bag thing. Bring your own bag. Okay, couple thoughts. One, what has gone on genetically to put an anus on an elbow, and are we too quick to dismiss it? Might that be something that turns out to be an upgrade? I'm just saying. I don't know, but as I think about it, it would certainly change how I view the jackets with the elbow pads. You know what I mean? The little stitching and stuff on the old professor jackets. It would make me think about those in a different way. But the other thing, ours have to stop harping on this plastic bag thing. But why? Why do we have to start harping on it? And if your texter, respectfully, if your point is this is good for the environment, it's an easy fix, then why, if it's not just straight up nannyism, why does the state of Colorado create an exception for businesses that only have 3 or less locations and they all have to be in Colorado? Why would you create that exception? It is either horrible for the environment and it must be ended now, or it's a gimmick to make us feel good about what we're doing for the environment and to raise revenue for the man. And I don't like either of those things. Here's one. Sam's has a lot of plastic bags of thousands for 2 to 3 cents a bag. That's great advice. But then you have to remember to bring your plastic bags into the store. Like, buying the plastic bags isn't the issue. It's the convenience for me of being able to walk in with nothing on my mind other than, please have a decent orange available today or something. You know what I mean? Please have an apple that's bigger than my thumb. And so I don't think it's buying the you'd still have to remember to bring them in. You'd still have to remember. Here's one. What does the government claim they're going to do with the money? Yeah, that's a great question. I don't know if they claim they're going to do anything with the money. In fact, do they ever tell us what they're, I mean, they tell you this is what we could use it for, but do they ever really use it for what they claim? I don't know. Let's see here. The act does not apply. This David from Thornton will love this. The act does not apply to materials used in the packaging of pharmaceutical drugs, medical devices, or dietary supplements, or any equipment or materials used to manufacture pharmaceutical drugs, medical devices, or dietary supplements. Why not? Again, is it that the bags are poison for the environment, or what? Alexa from Arvada, you're on 710 Canyon. Alexa, what do you think?
Hey, George.
Hello.
So, speaking of what does the government do with the bag fee, I think you and I and many others have been paying that lovely 27 cents starting July of last year up to 28 cents July of this year for all of our deliveries. What are they doing with that? Because I'm pretty darn sure the roads still suck in Colorado.
That's a great point. Again, this is the insidiousness of government taxes and fees, that they keep picking at us a little bit at a time, and we just become immune to it, and we just move on. It's kind of like the frog in the pot of water you're bringing to a boil. Because you know what? Until you mentioned it, Alexa, I don't even look at the dang receipt to see that it's being collected.
Yeah, I did notice one the other day was still only 27 cents, so I sent them an email, let them know that they really need to go to Colorado the extra penny. But I was picking up my honey baked what in the heck am I supposed to use if it's not the lovely, huge, fabulous honey baked ham bag to take my ham home? And I don't want to use a reusable bag because the ham leaks.
Yeah, great. Actually, nobody cares if it leaks, Alexa. You can bring in that bacteria-ridden cesspool of a bag in and use it over and over again, and nobody can tell you no. Like, what happens if a store tells you, Alexa, your bag is so awful, you can't use it? Then you're like, well, now what? You can't give me one. I can't, but now what?
I know some of the cashiers I've talked to, they don't want to touch people's bags because they don't know what's in their bag. I mean, if you had a cut on your finger as a cashier and you're bagging and someone had salmonella in their reusable bag. Yeah. So, and then I thought of CSU. They used to let the kids take their meals in those styrofoam containers. So that'll be interesting what they do. I'm sure they'll do the
what's Trey supposed to do up there?
I know.
What are this whole thing is just, it's out of control, and I want people to hate on the Democrats for it enough to turn them out of office so we can get back to sanity. But Alexa, I'm telling you, the population of voters out there has been expanded so much by this automatic voter registration nonsense that we've got people that either don't know, don't care, or actually support this out there. We feel lost. We feel adrift. I don't know what's next, but we're going to start banning other sorts of things. And what's next, Alexa? What's the next thing they ban in the name of let's protect the environment from the Chinese?
Well, God knows they won't ban pharmaceuticals because even though those have petro in them, but I don't know. I'm sure they'll think of something. I mean, they want to try to block the sun also, right?
You know what they're going to do, Alexa, and this one could be devastating. Sunshine. They're going to ban single-use feminine hygiene products and diapers. They're going to mandate that they all go to reusable, because the environment. Damn it, you can't just let these things fill up a landfill.
Those have plastics in them. I think that might get parents to revolt. The other problem is, as we saw with Proposition HH, is it's not even just the ill-informed voters that are part of the problem. It is the deceptive language these people keep using of, do you want to not increase your property tax? Well, of course I don't want to increase it. But you got to give up Tabor. We slightly put that.
Well, and you've left out the other part too. Again, we talked about how we can't look to the courts to do something sane in Colorado. And this isn't even a Trump reference. You'll recall that the legislature passed a law that is now mandated for every ballot issue that would seek to reduce our taxes to put in provably false language. And that language says, will you approve like a tax decrease that will cause us to stop funding police and libraries, and we will now torture puppies and kittens and all this other stuff that is provably false. Exactly. And the Supreme Court said, no, that's okay. That's all right. You can keep that in there.
And then John Caldera gave them the Prop HH language, and they wouldn't let him use that.
The title board. Yeah, the title board said, no, it's you can't do it. That's right. But the Supreme Court said legislature can say just about anything. I'm waiting for the next version of this to be a law that just says, will you vote to give yourself a gold bar every year? But in reality, what the law does is increase taxes by 50%. And they would say, no, they can do that. That's okay. The title of it is gold bar every year, but it's you giving up 50% of your tax. That's okay.
Yeah. What's amazing is how devious and evil these people are. I mean, we live in clown world, and it's really sad.
I will go as far as all the words except the evil part, because I don't know that they really believe they're up to no good, even though you and I know they're up to no good. Do you know what I mean? Like it's like they grew up in an environment where government is the answer to all of our government problems. And I think they're doing something good. I think they believe that. I don't really think they think they're doing something bad. They look at Colorado that was and the America that is and say, it's broken. We need to fix it. Whereas we're all on the outside here living in Colorado and America going, hang on. It's not broken. You're breaking it, right? Like, stop doing that. But what do I know? Alexa, have a happy new year. Thanks so much for calling in.
You too, George. Take care.
Take care. Hey, Alexa's line is open at 303-696-1970. We're going to cut away for a break, not before I tell you about a new way to start your new year, especially if you're a dude. Now, it's not limited to just guys. I mean, let's be honest. It's not just guys that can do this, but guys tend to be the ones that benefit the most from stuff like this, and that is what's going on the top of your head. Now, on the top of your head should be all the hair that's there. I told the other family members about this at our Christmas Eve thing. I get my brother on the FaceTime, and he's with his wife and his wonderful kids. And it reminded me that this guy gave up on the hair war a long time ago. And there are guys that do. Geronimo's one of them. You remember last week, Geronimo said, hey, I decided to go bald 20 years ago when he was like 8 or something, which is an early time to do it, but he did it. You can go that direction. You can give up on the scalp hairline war if you'd like to, but so many people I know, friends included, have said, I'm not ready to retreat yet. I'm not ready to surrender. I want to fight on for that youthful, healthy look. It gives me confidence in my day-to-day life. My wife, my girlfriend, my significant other, they all think I look better with a full head of hair. So here's what I'm doing. I'm calling up our friend, Dr. Tanya Pauls at Advanced Hair Restoration. Best, most modern technology out there, top-rated physicians, guaranteed. I mean, you can't do better than those words for any product, let alone advanced hair. All you have to do to get this simple one-day treatment in a calm, relaxed environment is to give her a call at 720-459-HAIR, 720-459-HAIR. If you qualify, you get $250 off. But wait, there's more. 250 free hair grafts. Do it. And then I want you, honest to God, I want you to call and tell us about how awesome it was. I'd love to have that conversation with you. You can check them out first at advancedhair.com, but I'd give them a call at 720-459-HAIR. Stick around. We're going to get to you, your calls, your texts. It's George Brauchler, 710 KNUS. Nanny Claus is coming to town next Monday. It's George Brauchler on the George Show, 710 KNUS. That's right, Colorado's law that seeks to rid the state of retail produced and supplied plastic, unless you're a Colorado-only operation with 3 or less stores. Then, of course, plastic is it's still healthy. Those go out the window. The styrofoam thing, interesting that the law has no wear out date. So like you can have stores of styrofoam as long as you own them before Monday. You can keep using them for eternity. However, the plastic bags, you have to use whatever stores you have by June 1st, 2024. There's a business to be had there. Maybe it's something that 710 can get together and do, where we're just handing out bags, I don't know, in front of stores. Like like Kelly, 710 KNUS reusable bags. I only want a small percentage of how that turns out to be so awesome for us, but how many people would gobble that stuff up? I don't know if that means they'd listen to us, but they'd gobble us up. We have a line open, 303-696-1971. We also have a bunch of texts, and it's so hard to get through these. Some of these are going back a bit now. Here's one. I save my Costco boxes. Yeah, I don't. In fact, I try not to take the boxes because I feel like a big wuss when I do that. Like they put it all in the stuff, and I end up using those same ridiculous reusable bags to get them into the house. Here's another query for the professor with laws like the plastic bag law. What if a person of color, say Elijah Cummins, takes bags, won't pay? Will police respond and use lethal force when the suspect resists? I'm sick of utopian tyrants. Club a seal to live long. I don't know about the color stuff or all that use of force stuff. No, I'm not sure that's a legitimate question, but here's the part that is, Texter. What will the police do if you just took the bags? Now, again, after January the 1st, you're not going to be able to do that because they can't provide them to you. If you were in an emergency and you needed a plastic bag, they couldn't get you one. If you bought the 40-pound bag of M&Ms, it breaks open in the checkout line. You just got to go pockets, right? It's pockets mouth. You're squirreling those things away in every orifice possible. Sans prison purse, but you're putting it everywhere so that you can get them out because they can't give you a bag. They just simply can't do it. Here's another one I've heard. Stores are going to have paper bags through 2024, and then they will be banned. Oh, my God. Of course, they will still charge 10 cents for the paper sack. Yeah, the ones they used to give away. You're right. Here's another. Colorado should just ban grocery stores outright and encourage people to grow their own tofu. My God, man, that's where we're headed right now. In fact, if you combine that with the Biden administration's, remember the consumer protection people who were like, natural gas stoves pose such a risk to health, we may have to ban those. And then the whole world went crazy. Like, you've got to be kidding me. And then the Biden administration was like, no, we're not. What? No, we're not actually. What's a natural gas stove anyway? But we're not looking to ban it. And then, of course, there are Christmas pictures sent of Kamala Harris and her husband. And they are, maybe it was a Kwanzaa picture. I don't know. There's a video out there, folks. You got to see it. It's one of the most goofy things. But there's a picture of them working in her kitchen, making dinner on a gas stove. So maybe that's the direction we're going. We need to go live like cavemen. Here's another. Oh, here's the red light ticket thing somebody sent out. I will definitely take a look at that. Thank you, Texter. More text. Paper straws make drinks taste horrible. I agree. It is not a good vehicle for liquids. Paper and water don't like each other. Styrofoam and water, they're great together. I like the paper straws wrapped in plastic. You guys are so funny. I went to Lowe's last weekend looking for some fluorescent bulbs, the thicker ones. I was told they don't make them anymore because the Biden administration said they were not efficient. You have to go LED now. Small correction on that. I don't think it was Biden. I think the fluorescent bulbs got Obama'd out of existence. Do you remember that? Because that you had to go with not just the LEDs, but the other ones because the fluorocarbons or whatever it is were so bad that they made you purchase those bulbs that if broken, you need to call out the EPA to come clean up. Those are the ones that were better for the environment, the actual old incandescent bulbs. I think that was Obama, though. I don't think that was Biden. Here's another. Walmart got rid of plastic bags a year ago. Huh. Well, it tells you how many times I go into Walmart looking for something more than one item, and that's not very much. That's not a knock on Walmart because I'm a Sam's Club guy. I do Sam's and Costco. Yeah, I don't. Yeah,
You have both cards?
I do, man. And listen, I can't explain why, but they do offer slightly different things on some stuff. Like if you're looking for the Celsius, you know what I mean, the carbonated caffeine stuff, they got it at both, right? But there are some things they do, like Fairlife milk. It's got like a jillion grams of protein. It's chocolatey. It's healthy. It tastes good. It's all
Look at you.
Only one of them has that.
Look at you justifying both cards.
The other thing is, I'm waiting to be confronted on the campaign trail someday down the road. Like, ever see politicians where they're like, how much is a gallon of milk? Have you ever seen that? And then they get frozen because in their privileged lives, they're like, I think it comes from the cow for free, where I put it in my glass jar that I made in my special glass jar kiln. And I know how much milk is. If you're buying the regular Kroger stuff, you're looking right now at about $3.50. If you're a member, if you're not a member of Kroger, you may pay up to $4. If you're looking to get one of those all natural, like the cows are, I don't know, they're allowed to free range. If you can free range cows, they're allowed to learn to drive and they can go around town and all that stuff. That milk can get up to, like Horizon, that's north of $5. You're on your road to $6 a gallon for milk like that.
Too rich for my blood, man.
But if you buy that milk, then your sons don't develop breasts or something. I mean, that's what they tell you. I don't know. I don't know exactly how it works, but there's some sort of steroid stuff in there. Eggs, same thing. You can go $7 a carton of eggs if you're looking for chickens that were raised in the wild. Which I don't even know if they ever existed in the wild, but you know what I'm talking about. If you're looking for DEI free-range chickens, about $7 a carton. If you go to Sam's Club and or Costco, you can buy, I think it's like 100 eggs at a time for $5 or something like that. And I don't know where they raise them, and candidly, I don't care because eggs taste good. Here's some more text coming in. I bought my own plastic bags because I just don't want to give Colorado any money. Samesies. They are black, and I call them my protest bags. This is going to be part of a movement called PBM, and that is Plastic Bags Matter. That is going to be, that's the genesis of it right here, the PBM movement. Listen, I want to get to more texts. I know Kelly's looking at the phones at 303-696-1971. Here's a guy that's reusable, and in fact, you should use him all the time. His name's Dan Kaplis. Did you see how I segued into that? Kelly, there are not a lot of people on the radio who would dare to try to segue from reusable plastic bags to Dan Kaplis, but I do it, and here's why. Dan Kaplis shows up ready to go. You don't need to have any. The only thing you need bags for are to collect the justice he brings for you from the, have I tortured this thing to death? Have I killed this? It feels like genius to me. Am I talking out loud? Is this all in my head? Listen, Dan is a go-to guy. Anytime you've been hurt or a loved one's been hurt by someone else's negligence, recklessness, or intentional conduct, he and Baber Wahid, and remember, and I say this all the time, I did Baber's very first jury trial. As Baber gets to become a quadrillionaire, I'm going to remind him from the food stamp line that I did his very first case with him. And he did great, man. For a kid who got sworn in, it was either that morning, I swear to you, or the day before, picked a jury, crushed the other side in a righteous case that Dan took. This is the other thing you want to know about Dan. We did that case for free. We did that case pro bono. And here's why. The client that came in was an old client of Dan's from a personal injury case. She came in and said, I am getting sued by this unscrupulous Jeep repair shop. They're trying to sue me for $1 million for things I posted on the Better Business Bureau. I don't know where to go. And Dan said, you're here. You found us. We're going to go and fight for you, and we're not going to charge you a single penny. George, Bobber, go kick the crap out of the other side. And we did. That story just tells you everything you need to know about this guy. This is a guy who's in it for the right reasons. This is a guy who will fight for you and your righteous case. Give him a call at 303-770-5551, 303-770-5551. You can check him out at reusable dancaplisslaw.com. That's Dan Caplis, CAPLIS law.com. More text. This is the texts are outrageously good, but there's so many of them. Ridiculous. My reusable plastic bags are filthy and not washable. What about sanitation? Great question. We talked about, I don't know. Alexa brought up a good point. You've got a salmonella-ridden bag. What's the grocery store going to say? You can't bring it in? Isn't that the next law where they're going to mandate that they have to accept everything you bring in? What happened to cooties, man? We use the reusable bags and fill it with multitudes of items wrapped in plastic. This is so funny. What are we going to do about the doggy poop bags at the parks? I don't think anyone wants to use a paper bag for that. That's next. You know, remember when I asked Texture, Alexa, what's next? That's next. We're going to now outlaw, or you're going to have reusable dog poop bags. All those city dwelling elites out there who want to have their parks and force you to pay for RTD so that them and their 3 friends can ride to and from the stadium and the bars for nothing. Those people are going to freak if they heard that they were about to ban plastic poop bags. What are you going to do? The paper bags would be, how could you do it? One, it would probably protect the heat, but the chances of you tearing through that bag or not getting the appropriate grip. And we've just turned the show into something else entirely. Another text, an enterprising person can buy 1,000 single-use plastic bags from Amazon and sell them, or better yet, ask for donations as people walk in the store for a handful of bags. You know what? Texter, I'm going to write this down. This is a genius idea.
We have confirmation from Mark Crowley, who is standing here in the studio,
with poop bags.
You can buy 1,000. How many? 10,000. 10,000 plastic bags for $100 from Amazon.
Has Mark spent $100 on 10,000 plastic bags? And if so, what is he doing with them?
Well, he's hoarding them right now in his garage for a rainy day, I guess.
Well, I mean, I'm trying to picture what that rainy day is like, where Mrs. Crowley turns to Mark and goes, "Thank God you have those 10,000 plastic bags, honey. Now we can fill in the blank. What is it? Now we can save our home." I mean,
I don't know.
It's genius, though. Listen, this is it. This is the new marketing thing. Somebody is going to go out there and figure out how to pre-print some message on plastic bags. And they're going to start giving them away out front. And people like me will love them. You know what I mean? They will love them because I'll be walking from the car into the store. And as soon as I see them with their bags, I'm going to be like, oh, damn it, I forgot my, thank God they're here. And I'll take a look at the bag and it'll say something like, defeat Phil Weiser for AG or governor or something. And I'll be like, oh, doubly good purpose. Here's another sent a message. Good morning, fellas from Nebraska. I've made a small fortune making recycle bags for people. I make them out of recycled jeans, recycled old coats. They can hold a lot. People love them. There's nothing sadder than driving through the Navajo Nation and seeing a Walmart bag flapping on a piece of sagebrush. Well, listen, I'm glad that I love this, Jacqueline. The entrepreneurial spirit is genius. Here's another. It's your right to carry concealed. Why isn't it my right to know you have a weapon so I can get away from you and your weapon? What? First off, it's not really a right to carry concealed as much as it ought to be constitutional carry, because you still have to get the permission of your local sheriff, which shouldn't be hard to do unless you're in Boulder or something like that. But why should you have a right to know that I'm armed? Like, me being armed doesn't pose a risk to you. Me being crazy poses a risk to you. And we don't have a right to know who's been diagnosed with a mental illness. That would probably make you safer than if you knew if someone had a firearm. My guess is you rub up against people all the time. And rub up's the wrong term. You're in close contact with a lot of people who are armed and you don't even know it. And you don't even know to thank them. Hey, listen, we're going to cut away for a break. When we come back, of course, we're going to get to more of your texts. There are billions of them, but have the conversation with us. 303-696-1971 at the 9 o'clock hour. Of course, we're going to be joined by District Attorney Michael Allen. He's going to talk about some book things that we had mentioned previously and how that thing resolved. Before we cut away, though, I want to remind you about Gay Ribble and the Empower Home team. It's that season where you are hunkered down in your house trying to plan for 2024. I got to tell you, with what the Fed's planning on doing with up to 6, maybe more rate cuts, 2024 is looking a lot like the year you're going to end up being in a position to sell and buy a home. And if that's the case, you call Gay Ribble and the Empower Home team at 833-301-SOLD. 833-301-SOLD. And the reason you do it is because they make you guarantees no one else does. I've heard other ads out there where people are like, Joey Jojo Jr. Shabadoo will make you a guarantee that if he can't sell your house for the right price, they'll give you $5,000. That's not how these guys do it. They're not going to give you a fixed dollar amount. They're going to tell you, hey, if we agree upon a price and a timing of your sale and it doesn't work out, we guarantee to make up that difference. Who does that? Gay Ribble does, and the Empower Home team. Check them out at sellwithcertaintycolorado.com. Sellwithcertaintycolorado.com. Got to cut away for a break. We're going to come back. It's you, me, 710 KNUS. Kelly. Kelly with the tunes. Papa's got a brand new bag. Is freaking brilliant. George Brauchler back with here, 710 KNUS. In the 9 o'clock hour, we're going to be joined by Michael Allen. He's going to talk to us about some decisions that he ended up making regarding some books that were on the shelves there at some schools down south. But this topic has been explosive. Here's another, the irony in all of this is that the CCP profits the most from these mandated recycling programs because most of the recyclable materials are being shipped to China and then sold back to us as cheap plastic goods. That's interesting. Next legislative session, they're going to outlaw shopping carts in parking lots. If you forget your reusable bag, you'll have to carry your purchases out to your car in your arms. Potential America's Funniest Videos field day. Tell Kelly that I kickstarted the callers for him today. That's from Joan. Kelly, nice work. Had another great text here that I just, dang it. It was from a guy who's moving to Texas, or a gal that's moving to Texas, said they want to keep listening to the show, going to download the app. I'm sorry you're leaving for Texas, but I get it. Restaurants can drive to Wyoming and buy bulk styrofoam like we did with the large capacity magazines and fireworks. Someone should turn that giant plastic island out in the ocean into affordable housing. The texter is so brilliant. I'm going to try to keep getting into him, but we got to do an interview with a good buddy who's the DA from El Paso County. When he comes back, we'll talk about books, schools. George Brauchler, 710 KNUS. George Brauchler back with you here. It's the final hour of the George Show on 10 KNUS. Tons of texts on this last topic. I don't think this thing's going to go away. In fact, I imagine the frustration will set in sometime after Monday of next week. This is the Hump Day show of the George Show. Only a couple more left until we wrap up 2023 and head into 2024. I am pleased to, in a way, this has got to be like, unless something nutty happens, his last interview of 2023. Friend of the show, friend of mine, looks ridiculously young, but is actually, looks like he could be late 30s, he and his wife, which is nuts because both of them in their 70s, and you would never know it. I think if you went back and looked at old, like black and white pictures of El Paso County back in the day, you would probably see some version of them there because they may be like the vampire Lestat. Talking to us right now, the great district attorney from the Fighting Fourth. His name is Michael Allen. Sir, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, George. And the secret to looking young is stockpiling plastic bags. I've been doing that since they were invented. So
that explains Mark Crowley's knowledge. That, and by the way, Kelly pointed out that the cost of the 10,000 bags for $100, it's tripled. I just presume it's a function of the fact that, we're in this Colorado world. What are you going to do before we get into the important topic? What are you going to do when you go shopping for groceries?
Well, my wife and I were just talking about this as we were listening to you, and we were thinking about we need to just put reusable bags in every car. And then I love your idea that somebody needs to come up with some sort of pre-printed reusable bag that's got some political message on it that somebody can be a moneymaker for some campaign or something like that, just standing outside the store for people that forget to bring their bags in.
Hold on, try this political message on for size. Michael Allen for Attorney General or District Attorney. Do you see what I'm saying? Like if you just had folks standing out there like, hey, vote for Mike, vote for Mike, vote for Mike. And it has like an I like Mike, Michael Allen for Attorney General or whatever on the bag. Think about the friends that you make and the free advertising. This has to happen.
Yeah, I love it. Michael Allen for DA, though, not AG. I don't have any interest in that office right now.
I appreciate you ending with the phrase right now. Let's get to the reason I asked you to come on. We had spoken previously, not you and I, but me and the listeners had spoken previously about a letter that was written to your office that brought, and I went to the website and checked it out, brought to your attention some books that contain things in there that I was shocked that they were in there and available for kids. I didn't know if it was at the middle school or high school level or whatever, but you had received this letter, and this letter asked you to take certain steps. You've engaged in the steps you needed to take into. You came to a conclusion and you issued a letter. And I want to talk to you about that. Start off, if you would, with how did you get first made aware of this particular issue?
So I first became aware of the issue essentially by receiving the letter from this group, and they're rightfully upset with the processes in place with the school districts. They feel like they're not being heard or being given an avenue for recourse on some books they find objectionable. And like you said, when you look at some of the excerpts from these books, they're things I wouldn't want my kids when they were young to be exposed to, especially at school. So I certainly get their frustration.
So they send you this letter, and in your responsive letter, and it's a 10-page letter, I'm sure it's publicly available. In this letter, you say, listen, when I received this letter, I interpret this to be asking me to do something. How did you interpret that?
Yeah, well, I think, you know this too, as former district attorney in Colorado, that and hopefully soon to be another district attorney in Colorado, right, George?
Kelly's about to drop your call.
I know. Yeah.
Go on.
So when you send a letter to the DA, the elected DA in the jurisdiction, you're essentially asking the DA to take a look at, is there evidence to support criminal activity here? And if there is, what can you do to engage the prosecution effort towards stopping that criminal activity? And so that's what we interpreted it as, is, hey, we think these books are criminally obscene because of these excerpts in the books. And hey, Mr. DA, take a look at them and see if there's enough there to launch an investigation or not. So we went ahead and did that.
Now, in the letter, and I really appreciate the level of detail and seriousness with which you treated this. This wasn't just like a one-page letter. Hey, thanks for the solicitation for me to do something. Nothing to see here. Move on. You could see that coming from any number of DA's offices. You didn't do that. You actually go through, and this is just on page 1. You start to lay out, this is how the analysis goes. And in some ways, this is how the sausage gets made on every case in a DA's office, right? Like, you don't just say, boy, something bad happened here. Let's do something about it. It's like, hang on. Does whatever happened here apply to the law? So you lay out the elements of promotion of obscenity to a minor, which possibly could fit here. It was something that the people that wrote the letter suggested. And those elements are that the defendant, that's every charge. In the state of Colorado, out or about the date and place charge, that's every charge. And you're going right off of the jury instructions here.
Right.
Knowing its content and character, promoted to a minor or possessed with intent to promote to a minor any obscene material, or produced, presented, or directed an obscene performance involving a minor, or participated in a portion thereof that was obscene or that contributed to obscenity. A lot of uses of the word obscenity. And for anyone who's been through law school, and Michael, I'm almost certain you have, that word obscenity, man, that is a third rail kind of word when it comes to the First Amendment, because it's so very difficult to wrap your mind around and your hands around. How did you go through the analysis here?
So you're right to really key in on that word obscenity. That's really at the crux of the analysis, is looking at what does state statute say about obscenity. I talk a little bit later about some statutes that potentially could cover this that were previously ruled unconstitutional by the Colorado Supreme Court. But really that word of obscenity is at the very center of the analysis here. And you have to look at what statute says and what case law says from both the Colorado Supreme Court and the United States Supreme Court. We also were able to find some rulings from other states with some similar language to just help guide us. Obviously, those other states are not binding on us, but they are helpful in illustrating what the point might be.
Well, and what's helpful here too is that this letter lays those out. You didn't just say, hey, we did a whole bunch of legal research and we're not moving forward. You actually set out the cases and the citations to the cases so that anybody reading this letter could be like, I wonder if Michael got this one right. And they can go and look up the cases and read it and see exactly what you're talking about, in addition to the citations to the state statutes and whatnot. I love that stuff. You ultimately conclude, listen, I just don't think I have the ability ethically to move forward on this. Talk about how you came to that conclusion in light of the statutes and the cases.
Yeah, well, first and foremost, for any lawyer practicing in the state of Colorado, and every state has these same rules in place, there are ethics rules that sort of bind us on what we can and can't do, and there's specific rules for prosecutors as well. One of the things is that we have to be very truthful in the way that we present things to a court. So we can't cherry pick cases and say, hey, judge, this case says I can do what I'm trying to do here, and then not present the other case that might say, hey, Mr. Prosecutor, that actually isn't what you're supposed to be doing. We've got to be fully truthful to the judge in the way that we present things. We also can't, for prosecutors, that we're held to a higher burden than other lawyers, because we can actually imprison people, take away their liberty. Basically says that we can't prosecute things if probable cause doesn't exist. And as prosecutors, we have to look at the ultimate potential outcome, that you might end up taking a case to trial. And if you're going to take a case to trial, you have to have a reasonable likelihood of success at trial, meaning that you're not doing this just for frivolous means. And so taking those ethics rules and applying them to any sort of criminal prosecution really give you a clear path, I think, in how to look at these types of things. And part of the reason why I was so detailed in this response was just to make sure that people understood what criminal obscenity really means. It's not an easy burden to satisfy because of the First Amendment and some of the case analysis that exists out there, and just giving them confidence that, hey, just because this doesn't mean it's criminally obscene and that somebody's just going to go to jail over this, just because that doesn't exist, there's still an avenue of recourse here, and that's through your school boards, and hold your school boards accountable. If they're not doing the things that you think they should be doing, then exercise your voice at the ballot box.
I think that there's a lot to unpack in what you said there. At the 30,000 foot level, you and I have heard this, and you see it almost as a growing movement on either side of the ideological spectrum. People saying, well, we should prosecute them and let's just see what a jury says. And it's like, nope, no, we don't do that. There's a reason why we don't do that. And you point this out in the final paragraph of this. There is an immense power in the ability to prosecute. And I think that people who haven't been in the system lose sight of the fact that if you accuse somebody of a crime, it changes their lives, right? Whether it's a DUI or, God forbid, something more than that, it changes their lives while that case is pending, and maybe forever. In the advent of social media and the permanence of things online, it is an awesome power, and you want a district attorney to look at it like, I don't want to pull the trigger if I don't have to pull the trigger, right? You put me in a position to make a decision. I'd like to not just aimlessly shoot this thing. I got to make sure that I know what the target is I'm aiming at, and I should be shooting at it. And that's kind of what you're doing. I hate to go all Second Amendment guns on you, but you're a Navy guy.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I talk about that in the second page too. First full paragraph, I talk about the immense power of prosecution and how sometimes the right decision is not to prosecute somebody. And we've seen people, especially from our party, right, the Republican Party, complaining about some of the prosecution efforts we've seen around the country, where it seems like the prosecution effort has been weaponized against conservatives. Yep. And I think, you know, that's the irony in this whole thing, is that just because we decide we don't like something, we should this idea that we should turn to prosecution to right whatever it is we don't like about some aspect of our lives or our communities or what have you. That's not the right answer. We shouldn't be weaponizing the immense power of prosecution just because we don't like something, whether it's a left-leaning issue or right-leaning issue or whatever the case might be. We've got to be very diligent about our exercising this immense power. And if we're not, then we're really eroding our trust in government, I think.
We're talking with Michael Allen. He is the elected district attorney for the Fighting Fourth Judicial District. That's El Paso and Teller counties, soon to be, as you know, Michael, in January of 2025, the most populous judicial district in the state of Colorado. I know through this letter, you're not saying, hey, I'm okay with these books being on the shelves. That's not the point of your letter. The point of your letter was something different.
Yeah, absolutely. And just on that previous thing that you just said about the most populous district in the state of Colorado, that'd be the 4th Judicial District where I work. It's longstanding been the best district, even back to, you know, the time that you might have been DA in the 18th.
Are you want to sell? It's really hard to hear you. I can't. Michael's saying something about the Navy. It's obviously a joke.
Yeah. Yeah. That you're exactly right. What I'm not saying in this letter is that I agree with what's in these books. Like I said, some of the things that were pointed out or that we looked at, these are not things that I would want a middle schooler or even potentially a high schooler that has a certain family background I would want them to be looking at or reading, and certainly shouldn't be available, I don't think, in public schools that are taxpayer funded schools. Just because of the content. Maybe they're fine for young adults who are going through some personal issues and they're trying to figure out where they fit in society, but not necessarily loving some of the language that I'm seeing in these books. But again, that doesn't rise to criminally obscene.
Well, that's the thing, is that I feel like if we're going to go broader, and you were right to talk about how we are critical of those DAs who seem to be doing two things. One is weaponizing prosecution, it appears, based on political motives. We've also seen the opposite, which are prosecutors who seem to shirk the responsibilities that they have on obvious crimes like, let's just say car theft or something, to hold people accountable in a way that protects the community. But when you're talking about this, what I worry about, Michael, is that there's a growing number of people who are ends justify the means people. Like they have lost sight of the fact that the process is the road to justice. There is no, we know the right outcome, let's do anything we can to get there. And this has a little bit of that feel to it.
Yeah, and I can never buy into that idea that the ends justify the means. I think you've still got to do things the right way. You've still got to have evidence to prosecute somebody. And, you know, I've seen some criticism from our own party here in the state of Colorado over my decision. while those same people have criticized other prosecutors for being heavy-handed as it relates to former President Donald Trump, right? So they decry activist prosecutors in other parts of the country because they feel like there's not enough evidence to prosecute somebody. And then here they potentially criticize because they think that we're not being an activist. And I can tell you as district attorney in the 4th Judicial District, I'm never going to be an activist DA. I think that's the wrong avenue, wrong way to handle the immense power that we have as DA. I know that's the way that you handled your powers as a district attorney up in the 18th. I know Dan May handled it that way here in the 4th before me. People like Michael Doherty, who are just the epitome of professionalism in prosecution and really know how to go after the bad guys and do it the right way. If you start doing prosecution the wrong way, you're really setting yourself up to have a complete erosion of our form of government in the United States, in my opinion.
I am so glad you brought up Doherty, too, who's a friend of ours and a colleague. Doherty's a Democrat in Boulder. He's the Boulder DA, but that dude is a legit prosecutor. I mean, he gets it. Like, I don't see him bringing cases because it assuages the mob. I don't see him bringing cases because it's politically advantageous for him. I have always seen that guy, even when he was the ADA out in Jeffco under Republican Pete Weir, as a guy who was just a legit prosecutor. Like the R and the D, man, when you and I started in this game, the R and the D kind of didn't really matter that much. You know what I mean? And now all of a sudden it's become this big thing that we have to contend with. On another show, I'll ask you about CDAC and sort of how to navigate those waters. But you segued us nicely into the question of criticism. You wrote this letter back. You put a lot of thought and effort into this thing. You get it off. Have you heard response from them, or when you go out and about in the community, when people are pushing back, what are they saying?
So I haven't actually received much response directly from anybody. I've had people in the community that have reached out to say, thank you for doing your job with professionalism and applying the rule of law in the way that you're examining cases. I've had a lot of people reach out to me like that, both in person and then, through text messages and that sort of thing. So really appreciated the support. And, you just know that when you do things in this job, you're going to get criticism based on whatever decision you make sometimes. And I always go back to the man in the arena quote from Teddy Roosevelt. I'd rather be fighting here and doing the right thing, doing it the right way, and then let the criticism be what it may. And I'm happy with the results as long as I'm doing things the right way. And I know that's the way that you handled yourself too.
Yeah, it was great, by the way, seeing you at the Pikes Peak Firearm Coalition 30th anniversary thing. Speaking of the man in the arena, you will recall that on that particular day, there were a bunch of men in an arena out in Boston, Massachusetts for something called the Army-Navy game. I still can't remember who won that one. Who there was one of the branches won, and I'm pretty sure it was not the Navy that won that one.
The way that I think about it, George, is that the United States of America won that day.
My God, you've gone full politician, Michael Allen. Hey, man, thanks for making time for this and to have this conversation. I was going to ask this question too. Yeah. As you guys were going through this and you're taking a look at the law and all this, are you envisioning in your mind, like, yes, this would absolutely, definitely fall within the purview of this law? I mean, is there something out there that would?
I'm not sure I understand your question.
For those books, like if there was a book that was blank, like what would the book have to contain, or how would it have to be made available in such a way that you'd be like, okay, now I think we've got room to do something here?
Yeah, I'm not sure that I like to prejudge things like that. I did find though that state statutes right on point as it relates to school boards, and that is 22-32-110 1R. Gives school boards exactly the power that these people want them to use. And that says that school boards are able to exclude from each school library any books, magazines, papers, or other publications which, in the judgment of the board, are of immoral or pernicious nature. That is a much lower bar, in my opinion, than criminally obscene material that I had to apply. And really, it gets back to the idea that school boards have all the power they need. If they're shirking their responsibilities and allowing these things to be in the schools, then really the parents should be going to the school board and say, hey, why are you not doing what you should be doing?
And vote them out. I mean, that's the great
Yeah.
thing, is that whether it's when I was DA, you're DA, governor, if people don't like the way you're doing the job, every 2 to 4 years, depending upon the position, they get a chance to say, let's try someone else. I mean,
Right.
that's
Right.
the way we go about this, instead of trying to use the big hammer of government to try to beat everything into submission. Michael Allen, thanks for the time this morning. I appreciate it. I will look forward to getting a box of plastic bags that say Allen for DA on them that I can start handing out here, there, and everywhere.
I love that idea, George. Hey, I hope you had a Merry Christmas, and obviously
You too,
have
man.
a Happy New Year as well.
Talk to you in 2024, my friend. Say hi to your wife too.
Sounds
Hey,
good.
that's
Will
Michael
do.
Allen. That's the district attorney for the Fighting Fourth Judicial District. That's El Paso and Teller counties. It's huge. It's big. It's about to become the biggest in the state of Colorado in January of 2025, and no better guy to have at the helm than Michael. Other than that Navy thing, pretty solid background. The Navy thing is still inexplicable to me for a guy who made his home in a landlocked state. Hey, when we come back, I'd love to get your thoughts on that. Do you want to see a DA? Maybe it's broader than just the books, but do you want to see a DA play a more activist role in taking on problems in the community that, I don't know, may or may not touch upon the criminal law? The books thing here, it's not completely illegitimate. They asked for Michael's intervention. There's a statute that talks about it out there. But if you look at this letter, and I have, it's pretty clear. There's just no way Michael could have brought this case in good faith and ethically. And that should be the touchstone for the prosecutors. Right person, right charge, reasonable likelihood of success at trial. If you don't have either one of those things, you're out. And I think that's the right decision here by Michael Allen. But what do you think? 303-696-1971. I haven't been in my kid's library, by the way. Maybe a year or two ago, but not to look at books. It was for some other thing. George Brauchler. Before we cut away for a break, I'm so sorry. This is the how the sausage gets made thing here right on the radio. UltraCur. I've been telling you about it. I'm going to really encourage you before Monday to go in and get the 3-day free supply that you can get at your natural grocers, and you got to go see the vitamin manager for it. But here's why I want to do that. Don't take it today or tomorrow. Don't start right now. Do the New Year's resolution thing. Go get it today. Get a 3-day supply for a loved one that you have. Friend, boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, doesn't matter, son, daughter. Go get that one too. And both agree, and you're going to each hold each other accountable moving forward on this particular health-related thing moving forward in January. That's Monday. You're going to each start taking it. You're going to check in with each other and say, do you feel any difference? Do you feel any better? If you're like, the 50% of people who've experienced relief within 48 hours, touchdown, bingo. Some of them within 2 hours, about half of that group within 2 hours. But see how it goes. Commit yourselves to a healthier, better 2024, and then let us know how it goes. You go see that vitamin manager at Natural Grocers and get that thing. I'm telling you, you're going to come back and say, how do I get a 30-day, 60-day, 90-day supply? That's what Billy and I did. Hey, stick around. We'll take your calls, your texts. George Brauchler, 710 KNUS. The accompanying vocals provided by Jared Polis, governor of the state of Colorado. If you have not seen this viral video, and viral really does an injustice to viruses, but a viral video of the governor, he put out this Feliz Navidad thing. I can't do it justice. I can't describe what's going on. It's not him just singing Feliz Navidad with the words popping up underneath him. He's engaging in some sort of a dance that you have to watch it. I'm sorry, folks. You're going to have to go to social media, Twitter. Just search it up on Google. Polis Feliz Navidad dance video, whatever it is. It's craziness. But it's also there's two. I have two thoughts about this. If you've seen it, by the way, I want to know what you think at 303-696-1971. You can also, of course, text us in. What did you think about this? I've seen a lot of people blasting him on social media saying, what an utter and complete embarrassment for the state of Colorado, gong show, all this other stuff. Yes, I mean, okay, that's the easy one. That's the layup. But there is a little bit of a genius here behind this thing. Remember, this dude knows that all press is good press, because the issue isn't whether it's positive or negative. It's whether or not you keep your name ID going. And this thing has become a bit of a national story, and it's all for FREE. It's free. Now, the analysis that we don't get about this thing and when it was issued is the fact that it takes place within days of 16 more busloads of immigrants being dumped on the streets of Denver to confound Mayor Mike Johnston's plans of trying to get 1,000 people off the street by the end of the year. I hope we could get, I kind of wish we could get Mike Johnston on, Mayor Mike on before the end of the week so we can have a conversation about, dude, are you going to hit the 1,000? And how are we defining 1,000? Someone texted in, wasn't Polis singing this whole stuff as the buses of migrants were being dropped off? I don't know, but it feels, I almost tweeted this out. I was going to say, this is culturally insensitive, and yet I'm not sure to which culture. It just feels like it is culturally insensitive, perhaps to all cultures. I don't know.
Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad.
You got to watch the video.
Feliz Navidad, prospero año y felicidad.
My God, man, I just don't know what's going on there. I can't tell if this was an unforced error or genius, because the guy's king of the unforced errors, right? But he's also in this environment where nobody ever picks on him from the media or really drills down on what he's doing with decisions that he's making. He pretty much has impunity to do whatever he wants. But he did get free viral coverage of him singing a song. Now, listen, if you picture any Republican governor, and can you picture what the media would do to Ron DeSantis first off, I'm not sure Ron can get his arms moving like that. And and listen, don't mistake anything I'm saying as I'm not ready for Ron, because I'd be ready for President Ron tomorrow. But you can't have that song sung with resting bitch face, which is what Ron DeSantis has for a guy. I mean, if you look at him when he's up at the podium, he seems completely unhappy at all times. That guy could not sing the song, but let's pretend for a moment he could. Don't you believe? I don't care if you're right or left. You have to agree with this. If Ron DeSantis put out a video of him gyrating and throwing his arms up and down, singing that song like that, the world would come to an end. I mean, every organization from La Raza to NAMBLA would come out of the woodwork.
Wood chipper.
He would be done. He would be done. But another white guy does it, who's a governor of the state of Colorado, but he gets a pass. He gets a pass. I don't know. Is it because he's a Dem? Is it because he's gay? Is it because he's a liberal? I don't know if it's any or all of those things, but here's a guy that pulls off this cultural appropriation, right? Like, I don't think you're allowed to even sing Spanish songs on social media if you're a white guy, but this guy was able to do it, and he was able to get away with it. And it's preposterous. If you haven't seen it, I beg you to go and find this video. This is our texter right here. Yep, as additional buses of migrants. Yep, that is correct. This is while the buses of migrants were being dropped off. More text. Polis singing works for his base. Libs are lame and like lame things. Since ours come out bashing it, libs can feel good about liking it. That's an interesting thing. Like if it pisses off the Republicans, it must be good. Our buddy Alexa, on the cringy Polis Feliz Navidad video, we should keep paying whoever told him to do that video. And another great reference. You know what? We need to come up with top 5 or top 10 gong show moves by the governor this year. The one that was, I couldn't stop laughing when we were doing it on the radio. It's making me laugh now. Polis, you remember when he took the bat to the unbreakable piece of glass and like knocked it over and then reached in and held up a piece of paper like it was some sort of Groundhog Day moment. And he goes, looks like a special session. Whoever that person is the same person that said, you know what? Let's get the video camera going. You do this happy gyrating dance as busloads of immigrants are being dumped onto the streets of Denver in search of whatever, como se dice, safe injection site. And you sing Feliz Navidad, and it'll be awesome. That person needs to be promoted twice. I don't know why. Just such genius. Someone texted in the gays might disown the governor because of his dance moves. What? Oh, Polis video is just embarrassing, and his press advisor should have been fired after the glass breaking silliness. He doesn't get how stupid he looks. I'm not sure. That could be true. That's probably true. Okay. But let me suggest this. The amount of free publicity he gets off of this is worth a ton. I mean, listen, Donald Trump proved any media is good media, right? Like the mainstream media, the legacy media dumped $1 trillion of free press on that guy in 2015 and 16, and they're doing it again now. And it doesn't seem to take any of the tarnish off the wood, right? In this particular case, you can add to this the fact that wherever this guy goes, he has food on his shirt somewhere. Like, you know that he has eaten whatever that meal was within the last 24 to 48 hours. I don't know if that's intentional, if it's apathy, because when you've got $900 million in value, maybe you just don't care anymore. I don't know. Maybe that's it. Or maybe it's genius because he's like, you know who else has food on their shirt? George and other Coloradans. We all have food on our shirt in some way. I'm just going to be that guy, the $900 million guy with food on his shirt, on his very expensive shirt. Someone else texted in, Marlon did it. Could have been Marlon. That stupid arse video got him national attention. That's my point too. Like, is this genius? I'll give you 30 styrofoam cups to sing and dance right now. Well, listen, if you're on the YouTubes, if you're on the Rumbles, I'll try to imitate the little dance. He does this little, and he's kind of got the arms going, and he's kind of got this look, and for some reason he's wearing a suit, which he never does. Is it crazy genius, or is it just dude doesn't care? Dude just doesn't care, or whoever's advising him knows it won't matter. That in Colorado, at least, it doesn't matter. The fact that this guy could end up getting an opportunity to run for president legitimately in 2028, it's got to give you pause. It's got to give you pause. But I think the real story here is the double standard that exists. Where's La Raza to come out? Where is Senadora Julie Gonzalez to come out and trash the governor for the mockery of this beloved song? This cultural appropriation, where is that? Because it doesn't exist. But I swear to you, if it was Nikki Haley, a woman of color, they would have torched her because she's a Republican. Ron DeSantis gone. Honestly, I'd kind of like to see if Vivek would do it. The dude will do or say just about anything right now to get attention. And the word is, and Kelly turned me onto this story, is that he has stopped purchasing television advertising leading up to the Iowa caucuses, which many are trying to read the tea leaves and saying that must mean the campaign is in trouble. Remember, the dude's a multimillionaire. He could fund what he wants. He doesn't have to have people come in on the top rope for him there. But his response was only candidates with low IQ continue to spend money on TV. That's just a consultant getting the better of them. There's no doubt there's a markup on TV and radio and that it costs and consultants get money. There's no doubt about that part. But people advertise on TV because it works. It's like the mailers. Everybody says, oh, the mailers, I just grab them and I throw them in nobody's spending on the mailers for them to not work. They know that you look down, you capture a message within that second you look at it. And that thing combined with 6 other touches, because you're supposed to get 7 touches in a campaign, all of that reinforces your brand, your candidate's name, whatever it is. So this works. So the TV thing works. It's not fake. But Vivek trashing it, I don't know, man. I don't know what to make of that cat, but I do know this. Daddy would love to see him do the Feliz Navidad dance. In fact, this is what everyone should do, a mocking Feliz Navidad dance of the governor doing the same thing, because you've got protection now. You can do it, and it's not culturally insensitive because the governor did it and he escaped any sort of retribution. Here's some text. Oh, you know what? Let's not do text. We'll do text right after this. Let me cut away for a break, and then we'll come back. I want to tell you, though, about advanced hair restoration. These are the good folks who work with Dr. Tanya Pauls. She's the best at what she does. And what she does is to get your own natural hair to grow where it seems like it has just given up and stopped growing. Don't let things you can't control, whether it's the environmental stuff, genetics, or a combination of the two, don't let those things keep you from getting a full head of hair back, your hair, not fake hair, your hair, and get it growing again. Guaranteed results, highest tech stuff out there, experienced professionals. What more do you need to know? Oh, yeah, 1-day treatment in a calm, relaxed environment. What's not to love? Make 2024 the year you reclaim your youthful look and all that confidence that comes with it. Give Tanya a call at 720-459-HAIR. That's hair, not the rabbit on your head. 720-459-HAIR. You can check them out also at Advanced, ends in a D, hair, advancedhair.com. You do the free consultation today, you get the $250 off plus the 250 free hair grafts. That's advancedhair.com. Hey, when we come back, your calls, your texts will wrap up the show, and then we'll cut you loose to go to the big boys. It's George Brauchler, 710 KNUS. George Brauchler back with you here, 710 KNUS. Final segment of the show. Let me try to get through some text, but not until I tell you about our good friend Mitch Floria at the Art of Granite. Listen, Christmas has come and gone, but maybe not that desire to want to upgrade the interior of your home. And the number one thing you can do, I'm looking around my house right now. The biggest thing you can see is this kitchen, and it's a giant countertop. I'd show you on the YouTubes, but man, is that thing, it looks like a crime scene. It looks like I've been doing surgery on that thing, but it's been food surgery. Giant countertops here in the laundry room, in the bathrooms. If you want to upgrade the interior and feel of your house, that's what you're going to do, is you're going to call Mitch Floria with the Art of Granite. Don't be deceived by the name, because it's really the art of granite and marble and quartz and fill in the blank, but that's just too long to put before a .com. So go to theartofgranite.com and check out what he has to offer. But honestly, if you're serious about it, and only if you're serious, get in the car, drive out there to a showroom at about Colorado and 6th Avenue. You'll be blown away by what they have, the size and the feel and the look of these things. It's incredible. He also gives you his cell phone number because he's the one doing business with you. It's not some seasonal employees. He's got long-term employees, but he wants to close the deal with you himself. 303-386-5919. 386-5919. Tell him you're a George listener, 710 listener. You will get the bathroom countertop for free with the kitchen countertop package. Or if you're just doing one room, that's cool. He'll throw in the sink for free. He wants your business. He'll earn your business. And then you're going to send all of your buddies to him as well. That's Mitch Floria at the Art of Granite. Here's some more of the texts that are coming in. I was just going to text and say, isn't this a slam on Hispanic ice culture? But you kind of said it. How about he just thinks he's the best thing in the room no matter what he does? I think there's a little bit of that for sure. I mean, you don't get to accidentally make $900 million. I know a lot of people are like, oh, he was born into money and his mom. That's probably true. But look at DJT, man. Dude was born into being a millionaire, but he turned it into billions. That's got to count for something. You either give credit where it's due or you don't. Maybe offensive performance, Polis performance, most offensive to the gay performers community, as we know what great dancers and singers that they are. George, he is living a lie, and he constantly lying just like Biden, a serial liar. He should be talking about the anti-Semitics that are going on in our country and not trying to be a singer. Another one, I want to see DJT do that dance. Me too. And by the way, that dude could get away with it, right? Because they're going to call him names no matter what he does. But he could do that dance. It could go viral as well. But again, he won't do that for a good reason, and that is it would elevate Polis to his level, and there's no way he'd want to do that. Yo, George, it was Polis Howard Dean moment. I wonder if it was. Do you remember that when Howard Dean won? I think it was Iowa or whatever. We're going to go to North Carolina. Like, yeah, that scream right there. Maybe that was it. Here is Polis was serenading his husband at breakfast. That could be true too. Someone said, I can't find it now. It was about Marlon. No, I've lost it. Here's another one. Our buddy Joan had to pull over. Polis was mocked on Gutfeld as looking like he was milking a cow. And my friend said, don't people know about how much Polis doesn't like beef? Must be, Joan, I can't read that. Republicans need to make a commercial with Polis in the corner singing and clips of the buses in the border. Oh, that would be smart, Joan. That would be something right there. Oh my gosh. Mr. Polis, please don't drink and govern. George, your previous texture, but there's so many. Kelly, how much time do we have left? I've got like 20 seconds. Listen, folks, let's do this again tomorrow. You, me, BTs will be back in. Thanks, Kelly, and everybody else. It's George Brauchler, 710 KN to the US.